Ola has taught us quite a lot if you've been here. Managing your expectation, emotional intelligence, how to control our emotions. Back in the day, if I'm doing this show, the way I will come for that freeze.
Man of prestige. Ha! Now this guy win. Now you win. Now you win today. Now you win. I agree. Man of prestige. Now man you be.
I'm sure some people will be jealous now the way I talk about Ola. But I have learned a lot from him. That's why I keep telling you to follow him. If you don't follow Man of Prestige, now you know.
Yeah, we find her, the beautiful girl we've been missing. We wanna have her kissing. We find her, now we in love. Say go so, the remix.
DMB, Tuck Spice, remix.
Now if I had to lose you like a bad phone connection, I'd change my game to get a better reception. Sit back, let's start this interaction. Don't fight the feelings, just a chain reaction. Your heart won't give you the wrong instructions. Like my GPS, yes I got the right direction. We gotta merge together like a road intersection. Last stop is gonna be my love and affection. I ain't like the mother dudes, they wanna call you shorty, but I'ma call you a beautiful girl. I took your picture home, my mama saw it, she's a very, very beautiful girl. I wanna put you in my video, cause you're so beautiful. You're a beautiful girl. So when you hear us in your radio, turn up your stereo. It's beautiful girl.
Gotta find a shorty, what's worth of a lady. It's nice but maybe doesn't look like 40. It's taking a little time. I wasn't seeing no signs, any traces of my baby. Who's gonna be my baby? But I thought I'm gonna take my time within it took a long fine eye. I saw a shorty passing by. She's got this very pretty smile. It was right at the bus station. I tried to make a conversation, holding her arms, feeling so tough. I felt the sensation. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. And now I realize I found me a beautiful girl. She's a model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it by. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes, a killing eye. I found me a beautiful girl.
Body me LP, my wish came true when I saw you, girl. God must have blessed me with your beauty, girl. Looking so right from your head to your toe. Shaped like a cocoa bottle with a smile of a queen. My queen to be, you my destiny. Got a body of a goddess with your beauty. I'm impressed and I'm never in distress. Come on over and be mine. Been searching for a man and now all the cats keep looking to mine. With a sexy walk and a sexy talk. She must be from a planet called the sexy world. I know I ain't tripping, better yet I'm thinking put a ring on the finger, we look good together. Take your place in my heart with your beauty. I'ma say that I'll never turn away. Who would think I'm in love?
So the way she smiles at me just really makes me weak. The way she speaks to me just really make me go so weak. Keep staring in her eyebrows. All I kept on saying is wow. If you touch as a breeze at night, all I really want in my life. Oh yeah. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes, killing tight. I found me a beautiful girl. Yeah, beautiful girl. Beautiful girl, yeah. Beautiful girl.
Damn. Money. You seen her? Hot Ice. Have you seen her? LP. Have you seen her? I'ma go over to Tux Bites. I know you've probably seen her. He has a lot of beautiful girls with him. Tux, it's DMB, baby. Look. Beautiful. I look for a while, but I can't seem to find a beautiful
beautiful girl so I can make her mine. Time after time I've been searching for a while, but every girl I meet never seems worthwhile. What can I do? I pray to God for an answer. I feel pains in my heart like cancer, and when I find her, I'm gonna romance her. Lace several presents and gifts, call me Santa Claus. I make a heartbeat pause. That's my girl, homeboy, not yours. The girl of my dreams, she's more than I ever thought. Show me Aston Kutcher, I think I'm getting punked. She's what I really want, so I'm a go-getter. Since I'm a go-getter, you know I'm go-getter. And I will give her the world, anything for my beautiful girl.
Psych. Ooh, it's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine, brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it, beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes, killing time. I found a beautiful girl.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.
Ola has taught us quite a lot if you've been here. Managing your expectation, emotional intelligence, how to control our emotions. Back in the day, if I'm doing this show, the way I will come for Daddy Freaks.
Man of prestige. Ha! Now this guy win. Now you win. Now you win today. Now you win. I agree. Man of prestige. Now man you be.
I'm sure some people will be jealous now the way I talk about Ola, but I have learned a lot from him. That's why I keep telling you to follow him. If you don't follow Man of Prestige, now you know.
All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Welcome. Oh my God, I gotta change. It's either I tighten up this chair or something. I gotta do something. It's making so much noise. How's everybody doing? D-Love, hello. Do me a favor, as you're coming in, hit that like button, share and subscribe. Let me just make sure audio is good. All right, audio is good. Not too far now. How you doing? Here we are. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Do me a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe, ping everyone into the room. Let's try our best. Something is going on with the algorithms. We don't know. People are not getting the notification. So it is what it is. Until they remember us, they come and find us. We'll sort it out at that point in time. If you want to solve this problem and you really don't want to come into the chat group, it's very easy. Okay. It's very easy. You just want to binge watch. Okay. You want to binge watch even if you're not present. On this platform, we have how many videos? Let me see. We have, you just go to the home page of the channel, click on you simply want to click on, we have 932 videos up here. That's a lot, right? So you want to go on that video section and click play all and just have that binge watching, unless you're managing data, of course, please. Okay, but if you want the algorithms to wake up and you want the notification to be working properly, there's only so much attention with so many videos. You just got to pay attention to that. You have to work the algorithms in your favor. But shout out to the 3 people that just came in. As you can see right now, as I'm talking, there's so many signals. They're hearing my voice, they're using your signals, they're using what you're watching. If you're watching a ton of other people's stuff, I can't stop you from doing that, but there's only so much space in terms of feeding you with notification. So that's just how it works. But yes, if you want me to notify you personally when I do go live, just go to www.lolaandlola.com/WhatsApp, or you can send a WhatsApp text message to +1 732 305 8577. If you haven't done so yet, you want to make sure you download the book. at loveandprestige.com. The 30-day bootcamp will be going away very, very soon. I just didn't get a chance to get to it yet, okay? So a lot going on here, okay? Today, yes, we're looking for the sponsor for the show. Shout out to all the sponsors of the channel. Shout out to Shea Mama, Gorex Corner, D-Love, of course. Shout out to Desua, Film Girl, Life with Nato, Richie. Shout out to you all. Thank you always for supporting the platform. Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, today we're getting into part 2 of this Derrick Jaxn something. You know what I'm saying? Something. You know? We're getting into that today. Let's see here. There you go. That's what we're going to be getting into today. You can see I have the video position. We're just going to relax and react as we go. But Patrick, good to see you, sir. Welcome, sir. Good to see you. All right. So Derrick Jaxn, believe it or not, there's a lot of lessons in just him talking. Okay, there's a lot of knowledge there, but you know, there's knowledge, there's education, there's application, right? Where he fell apart is application, right? For the most part. Okay, there's some in between things, okay, that I'm like, you know, like for example, like something like you know, like women in our lives in particular are a function of how the man moves. That's always true. Okay, all right. Now, if you remove the fact that you chose her, that might discombobulate that equation a little bit. But you chose her too, so you're gonna have to. Your best point of leverage is to own that all the way. So there you go. Let me see. DJ, we see we're doing part 2 today, sir. Bro Patrick, we're doing part 2 today. We didn't cover part 2 yet. Over the past few days, there's some trendy stuff with the old Auntie Frida, but Ademola, you know, all these people, you know. So we cover that, but let's do part 2. We had some room today. I wasn't gonna go live today, but there's some room today. You know, I was like, you know what? Let's get back to it, you know. So yes, we're going to be talking about Derrick Jaxn today. We're going to be reacting to the second part of the interview that he gave to my brother at Dear Future Wife, you know. So yes, so we're going to be reacting within the fair use guidelines. Yeah. Without any further ado, let's just get on to it. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right. So like I said, you know, grab your popcorn. Let's just talk. If you have any opinions, please drop it in the chat. You want to come up at any point in time, let me know. I'll drop the link. But I'm just relaxed. Today is Monday, so Monday is like Fridays for me. So I'm just relaxing and, you know, so let's go.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Laterio Sar Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. We're trying to hit 500K subscribers, and we're about a little less than 75,000. I don't know what it'd be at this point. 75,000 away. Thank y'all so much for the exponential growth that we've experienced on the Dear Future Wifey podcast in just 3 years. Thank y'all so much. If you're listening to us on streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, make sure that you leave a review and make sure that you subscribe on Apple Podcasts and receive downloads every time we drop one. Well, this is part 2 of the episode, You Reap What You Sow, with my homie, Derrick Jaxn. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man.
So the first episode was pretty good. How you feel?
I feel good. I feel comfortable. Yeah, I'm glad to know that you ain't gonna bite my head off. I was a little bit nervous, man.
Do you feel like did you come in here with a little bit of guards up? You made a comment. You was like, hey, you thought that I had DM'd you prior, like few years. We say what year?
2014.
2014. I said that was my boy Bashay.
Okay.
Shout out to Bashay Williams. You said reached
Speed
out
it
to you
up,
about using Dear
So we
Future
can
Wife.
get through
as
And you
much of it
said
as
that at
possible.
that time you was a hot head.
I'll slow you down if
like,
there's important
Man,
stuff going on.
forget you. Forget you. Praise
said-
the Lord.
He said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Man, look, I've been doing it, so you ain't gonna tell me now.
Yeah.
I ain't know what you was on, man, but
Yeah.
I appreciate you, dog. Like, this is a really good conversation.
Yeah, that was Bashay that sent that to you, but shout out to him. He actually talked about it on my previous episodes. He actually gifted me with a trademark for Dear Future Wife.
real.
So shout out to that brother. So we're at the point in the conversation where you were contemplating calling off the marriage. What happened for you to decide to go forward with the engagement?
I just felt like it was too much pressure. It was like we're getting close to the wedding. Of course, the stress of that. I think she was still pregnant. She was pregnant now with my baby boy, Derrick Jr. And I'm like, it's so much on the line. And then on top of that, I'm doing my thing in my career. So we had sat down maybe a little bit before this and mapped out a plan. Well, I mapped out a plan with her because most of the stuff that I had done from the first book to the initial, whatever, was in my single stages. So this is the first time we going into this chapter together. And I'm like, I got you by my side. This is what the play is. We're gonna do this, this, and this. And then in the next couple of years, we're gonna be able to just be philanthropists and be multimillionaires and whatever. So at this point, I'm making multimillions in my 20s. So she already knows what's up. So I didn't want to abandon
You
ship.
making multi-millions?
Yeah. In my 20s, I was making multimillions. Lord God. But
So that was the stuff you was doing relationship and other businesses.
other businesses, I had other businesses.
So it was making millions in his 20s. It was making millions in his 20s. There are two ways you can look at that. It was either actually making millions or it was pulling the revenues, in total revenues, millions. It's the same thing when it comes to the mind, especially if you come off from a very atapata dide. If you come from a poor background or maybe lower class background, if you come anything close to meal revenue or whatnot, doesn't matter. If you're having that kind of production, it's gonna get in your head. It's just what it is. Okay, there's no way, shape, form around it. It's just, the mind is not set up for that amount of money, which is energy, yet. And Yoruba people say owo akoparo or something like that. Like the money you first make is candy. You used to buy candy, right? So, and that's going to show up in every area of his life. It's going to show up in the form of pride. And no, it's not something that people are supposed to admit to unless they get to a certain level of intelligence to understand what I'm talking about. But it is what it is, right? So I want you to put that into the equation. If he's making that kind of money or pulling that kind of production in his 20s, yeah, to have him settle down is the same issue that I talked about when it comes to Davido, right? To have him settle down is like pulling teeth. It's almost impossible that, like, even for a normal person, how much more somebody with that level of power and access to resources, he's gonna just get in his own head. It's just the way it works, Yeah, but let's continue.
So
You was balling out of control in your 20s.
I wouldn't say balling out of
You
control.
was balling. You had millions of dollars.
Well, the thing about business, man, even when you got millions of dollars,
You
there's
got a lot of
rent, there's expenses. If I place an order,
Yeah, he's right about that. You have all these rent expenses, but the mind doesn't think that. You have access to that much resources, it's gonna get in your head. That's what he meant by you're balling out of control.
so one of my products was a date night card game. One order might be $250,000 in order to get the warehouse right. And then you got trucks, you got warehouse, you got payroll $70,000 a month. But the biggest thing was,
Hold on, you ain't just throw these numbers. Your payroll was $70,000 a month.
yeah, man, at
Easily.
its height, it fluctuated depending on who I had on. But if I had a marketing director or whatever, it was about $70,000 a month.
So you was running this like a.
$70,000 in payroll per month, or maybe let's just call it expenses, right? That's so easy, right? Not especially if you're young and you're like, the more I spend, the more I'm gonna make. Scare money don't make no money. You have all these talking points. They do the same thing in the money world too. All this stupid pride-driven talking points. Scare money don't make money. You have to go all out. You gotta take, listen, we gotta take risk, but you have to take assessed risk. But a young 20-year-old, 30-year-old and under they don't understand that. They can't comprehend what I just said. For obvious reason, there's no context. They haven't been there yet. So it's like, I've been this successful. I'm always, the mind, their internal subconscious is always telling you, you're always going to be successful. And they never see it coming, right? So he probably didn't see it coming that his personal relationships with his wife, the mother of his kids, is going to affect his productivity. You don't see it coming until you're inside of it. And I'm speaking from experience. You don't see it coming until you're actually inside of it. Even if they told you and they showed you in a movie, you can't. Something is always telling you that you're different. Like they're just. You might even say things like, yeah, those ones just didn't know what they're doing, right? It is what it is. That's why experience is always the best teacher. Still,
For real, legit business.
It was a for real legit business.
Yeah, you wasn't just sitting up there saying, "Oh, I'm just, I'm doing this like a little mom and pop stuff." Just doing. You had, like you said, warehouses.
Yeah, man. Yeah, infrastructure. But I still had to work to make money. And so for me, I was like, I want to be home. I want to be home with my babies, But the first couple years, as they're infants and toddlers, and we sitting there game planning, I'm like, it's gonna look like this, this, and this. I'm gonna have to grind. I'm putting some stuff together so we can have residual money. And then with that, we had this whole plan, basically multiple homes. Mama's coming down and moving. And I was like, I don't want to abandon ship. From all of that, and of course the pressure and so on. But man, we were breaking down toward the end, man. Even in the engagement.
And then what made you press forward?
Exactly what I said. The pressure, the plan. Like, don't give up on it. Like, somehow, some way, we still got to make this work.
And then how'd you recalibrate and say, let's get married?
Honestly, we just went through with the wedding. You kind of riding that high. Her uncles came down. Unfortunately, her dad had passed, so he wasn't there. But that male presence was there on her end. A little bit before that, I had talked to her mom. Me and her mom didn't have the greatest relationship, but she gave me a blessing to marry her daughter. So all of this stuff just felt like it was coming full circle. So on the wedding day, my mama there, my uncle, my girl, everybody on both our sides of the family is there. It's beautiful. And it's like, all right, maybe now we can kind of wash away some of the stress that was going into here of planning the wedding and all that, and get back to the plan. We're gonna save the world, and we also gonna break generational curses, and we're gonna raise up these beautiful children. Not that. It was about a good week or two of us having a honeymoon phase, a honeymoon break. But again, I was still, just my experience was, okay, I clearly haven't been perfect. Actually, in the engagement, it was after the counseling session. I went and had lunch with a girl. And that's when I got kind of shook, like, man, you can't go back, you can't go back. And I didn't sleep with her, but that was cheating. That was totally, wrong or what have you.
So all you had lunch, you didn't get a hand job? Or
No, but we had.
All right, this is the point where it gets to where I say sulking too much. All right, it's either I went to have a lunch with a girl I shouldn't have. I didn't sleep with her. There's no need to hide that, because we will never know. Right? There's no need to say I didn't sleep with her. You need to assume that everybody will think you slept with her, and it is what it is. That's where you'll be walking from. That's if you're going to apologize, or you're going to change your behavior, or you're going to create a new experience or start building trust again. That's where you're going to start from. The assumption that you actually slept with her. Did the most craziest sexual moves with her, because that's what her mind will be creating at the end of the day. That's where you'll be operating from. And the more you say things like I didn't sleep with her, you're shooting yourself backwards even more, right? So there's no need to even hide that. Now if she asks and say, did you sleep with her, that's a different situation. Now it's up to you as a whole human being to say, to tell the truth, if you want to tell the truth at that point in time. But what I'm telling you is that it doesn't matter if you say you didn't sleep with her. That's the bottom line. Her mind is saying you slept with her, especially that she's seen all those images of you smashing people on your phone and stuff like that. It's better to not even bring that up unless it's brought up somehow, some way. But what about full transparency? What do you mean by full transparency? Because again, are you even privy to how far the damages you've created are? You probably not, right? But so in this point in time, you have to engage wisdom beyond just honesty, right? Maybe we should call it wisdom-driven honesty, right? Volunteering information that will actually make the experience worse, that will make her relieve the worst case scenario. That you got to use wisdom there. You have to, right? So I didn't cheat with her, I didn't sleep with her, but stop. There's no need for him to be saying that. And why is that important right now? That's probably what he was doing when he was with his wife. He was engaged in shalaye too much. It's one of the major issues with Derrick Jaxn, talking too much when it comes to his own personal issues. He should be doing a whole lot less talking when it comes to his personal life, right? It should be answering questions. It should be engaged in counseling. It's things like that. But in terms of talking, volunteering, unnecessary information, it's probably working. It's going to work against him. Not just now. Obviously, it's over. But it probably worked against him when it was in the marriage, right? That's why that woman could not get past a lot of the issues, right? And she was willing to stay there and punish him, right? If he didn't pull the plug on the marriage.
Yeah, we had texting and stuff, so I had inappropriate conversations and stuff like that.
But somebody you messed around with in the past?
No, never messed around with before. But it was a girl I was clearly attracted to, and I knew better than to go and even have lunch with her. And I went, sneaking around and stuff. So
you had plans to smash. Keep it 100.
No, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm trying to think back, but you're talking about.
You're trying to think back. You already said it. You smashed. That's the assumption, okay? From the standpoint of the person that actually mattered, which is the wife, okay? Okay, you didn't smash, but it doesn't matter. That's the point.
2017, 6 years ago, I absolutely would have if we got
Right.
into the same vicinity. But
Okay.
at that point, I was just in my feelings. And like, man, I just need to get away, be around a female, whatever. But yeah, that was in like mid 2017. So cut all that off. Going forward, I may have had conversations with girls at most, but like the worst thing about me is I was still maybe a flirt, maybe responding to something like that. But now that we married,
The
okay, there's no
most
chicks or whatever,
was
we focused, we got this
maybe
plan,
a
it's 2018.
flirt.
And we're still having a ton of
The most I've had was maybe a flirt. It does not matter. If you're going to volunteer the information, right, you might as well just lie against yourself. You know, this is the part where it was about, I didn't really do that much. I only did this much. It does not matter. You need to, if you're going to tell on yourself, lie against yourself too. Say the worst case scenario, because the mind of your wife is basically assuming that you're a liar. You're a liar. That's why you hear things like, you're a liar. And you're like, well, if I'm not good enough, just the part where I did just and stop right there, that's pointless to even be good at all. Why actually you're wrong is because you lack any kind of wisdom around power, self, social, and emotional intelligence. You need to be aware that even though you might be telling the truth, it might be creating an opposite effect. It might be creating an undesirable effect on the other end, because there's another human being involved, and they do have that power to create 200,000 Nollywood and Hollywood movies based off of around little seeds of information that you sow. Am I asking you to lie? No, I'm telling you to be aware, right? Be aware, and please don't have any unrealistic expectations around, I told the truth, why wasn't the truth enough? Because it's never been, because there's also her own version of the truth. Remember that, right? Based off of your own moves in the past, right? So she's saying a lot of stuff, then it backpedals, it creates inconsistency, right? And if you're creating inconsistency, it's no wonder why she says you're a liar, right? Because yeah, I did this, but I didn't do that. Keep in mind that the story that is being created in her brain is far from what you're trying to say in your mouth, because it's mixing up with everything that she already had, the experience, and it's creating a whole new. That's when people say there's only two sides to the story, or there's two sides. Like, there's no two sides to the story. There's multiple sides to the story, always more than two, right? In fact, when she wakes up tomorrow, she will create another version of the story, depending on how bad the damages are. Let's keep going.
Disconnect. We will come together for a little bit and we'll be intimate, we'll be friends, but we're disconnecting a lot. And this is going into the birth of our son. So again, I'm thinking pregnancy emotions, it's always something. But then on my end, I'm just wearing thin. It's been a year-long engagement, which was, really tough for us both, I'm sure. I know something is wrong. I know I ain't doing everything perfect, but I'm trying. At this point now, I'm just, I'm opening up the doors on everything financially. I'm talking about new Range Rover, new this, new that. Then I'm still rubbing feet. I'm still asking how her day was, trying to be emotionally connected, trips out the country, just whatever. Because I'm thinking maybe she doesn't feel invested in, or maybe she don't feel soft life enough. So it would happen for a little bit where we're good, and then we would kind of disconnect again. And then baby boy's born. And then now we kind of riding the high of that. So it was a lot of volatile ups and downs, go through the whole year. And now her mom's friend, who claims to be like a prophet, we go and meet with her. And this started the kind of...
All right, before we get into the prophet stuff, because that prophet thing got really, really wild. That's where the old rebellious... Well, he's being rebellious. Whenever he finds out that being good is not enough, he gets rebellious and then go and have lunch, aka have sex with somebody else, right? And then she engages a prophetess. We're going to get to that in a second. But he just mentioned he was buying trips, buying Range Rovers, and basically trying to use money to buy happiness, to buy forgiveness, to buy whatever the hell it was looking for. He was trying to use money to buy those things. And what do I always say about money? Money is just energy, right? Money is a good byproduct of moving the right way, but that money, there's limitations to what you can do use it for, right? For sure, you cannot use to buy anything long term in terms of fulfillment. Okay, anything that you value from a long term perspective, you cannot use money to buy. You can use it to buy Range Rover now, but that same Range Rover, by the time she drives it for about 2-3 weeks, the emotional effect of that Range Rover on whatever situation you're trying to fix will wear out. I know, right? So unfair, right? All that money, down the drain, because money has limitations. That's the way it works, So, and that's why I said, if you're young and you have all that resources, sometimes you think that's all you need to get through life, and there's nothing farthest from the truth, right? So buying all this kind of stuff did not work. I hope you understand why now, right? Because again, money can buy value, short-term value. I hope that when you're buying, whenever you're making a choice to buy something, that you understand that the short-term value that you're buying is not necessarily going to last more than just a few weeks. Especially if we're talking about buying it for another individual, especially if it's something that she's kind of used to anyway, right? Like even if you bring somebody out of the village and you buy them nice stuff, right? Maybe they can be infatuated a little bit by the luxury of things and everything like that. Maybe a little bit longer, okay? But eventually, anything that's readily available will be taken for granted, directly or indirectly. The effect of it, especially at an emotional level, will get watered down. Let's continue.
And then baby boy is born. And then now we kind of riding the high.
Oh yeah, then children comes into a situation where there's already funky, right? Children are also, they consume resources. It's beautiful, right? Because the long-term benefit of having children is long-term. Exactly that, right? So, but in the immediate, when you're having this baby and they're brand new and she's going through postpartum issues and you're going through having to deal with, and then you're dealing with the relationship, that's a whole lot of stuff to deal with at the same time. For an average human being, they will get one out.
That. So it was a lot of volatile ups and downs, go through the whole year. And now her mom's friend, who claims to be like a prophet, we go and meet with her. And this started the kind of, I call it honestly, a little bit too far, the super religious thing that started happening. And the prophet friend of her mom was like, y'all gonna have a lot to go through and y'all gonna this, that, and the other. And then she started speaking and I ain't like that. And we kind of clashed about that because it's connected to her mom. But this is the first year of the marriage where it's like, man, now we're really, really falling apart.
She said y'all gonna go through a lot of stuff?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it's almost like the Zodiac said, like, yeah, today you're gonna blink. Like, this, yeah, it's life. We're gonna go through life. You know what I'm saying?
Today you're gonna blink.
I just was weirded out.
Oh, you thought it was just blinking. You thought it was demonic, right?
By the whole, I didn't understand at that time prophecy, and I believe in it now. I've met totally legitimate.
So when you look back on it, was she right or wrong?
Yeah, she was bad about that. Yeah, she was absolutely.
Of course she was right. Now,
absolutely, we went through all kinds of stuff. Absolutely. But for me, it was just a weird dynamic to introduce.
Early on in your marriage, like
yeah.
Up for doom at the beginning.
And then it started the whole, what God told me and God said, and I'm like, you my wife, not my pastor.
Oh, she started saying that to you from that relationship?
Yes. And then they formed a little 4-person church, which I had a different name for it at the time.
What name you call it? A cult. So she was going to this 4-person.
All right. So he's smart-mouthed, right? So he said he had a different name for a little 4-people church that he started. He's trying to throw shade, but he's about to like, oh yeah, I had a little name for it. And what's his name? Lataras, right? He's gonna be like, what is the name, right? Of course, it's gonna be like, what is the name? If you don't want to share that, don't even mention that in the first place, right? He's smart-mouthed, right? And when people are smart-mouthed, they get in trouble. It's just what it is, right?
Church. Now she began to prophesy over you. What
prophecy? It didn't get super heavy on that until 2019. The actual prophesying and reading prayers off a piece of paper and stuff like that. But it was 2018. This is when I got the haircut by the girl that I used to deal with whenever we were single. Now, I'm thinking it's okay, and I hope she don't feel no kind of way about me saying this, but we got to be real. At this point, I honestly thought she had transformed, like transgendered over. She wasn't as the same person, okay? Like definitely homeboy.
Looking at the one to cut your hair.
The one to cut my hair.
Okay, all right.
So,
all right, so you slept with somebody in the past. Now they're the homeboy. Yeah, right.
So when I couldn't get people to cut my hair, and this became a big deal. This was like one of the major fallouts before we really started to just plummet. The girl that posted me, I was at her barbershop, but she posted me and put hearts on it or something like that. But at this point, hope she don't get offended. She looked like a boy. And I saw that she looked like a boy. I'm like, oh, it's all good now. You know what I'm saying? People, this is a new age. She a man. She living her truth, his truth, what have you. Nope. Danae found out about it by seeing a story. Danae is one of them passionate people both ways. And it's a beauty when it's a beauty. But she also knows how to hit you where it hurts. What to say to you, how to say it. So she said some stuff, man. And at this point, I'm like, I'm tapped. Now I'm really tapped.
Did she call you gay?
No, she didn't call me gay.
I thought you said that because of the picture of the girl.
She looked like a street hooper or something like that, man. She just looked like I'm not trying to be messed up.
I know, but I'm
thinking it's cool, but
what did Naya say that was like hit below the belt?
She's still calling me an F-boy. She's still saying I'm a cheater. And at this point, I'm not cheating. And so
it doesn't matter.
Stop the cap.
All right, that girl that looked like a boy, you smashed in the past, okay? So she looks like a boy now, right? So it doesn't matter. You probably will still smash. So, and again, the best case scenario for Dania would be, oh no, she looks like a boy. You don't want to smash no more, right? The worst case scenario for her, because she doesn't really know, right? She doesn't know what she doesn't know, right? The worst case scenario is that you're probably going to smash still, right? What do you think, if she has to make an assumption, what do you think the assumptions will be? Worst or best case scenario? right? Not just Denia, by the way, all of us, okay? To actually assume best case scenario is actually work, okay? That's something I advise people to do, but it's actually a lot more easier, right? To subconsciously or consciously or halfway consciously assume worst case scenario. Why? Because we want to protect ourselves. The idea of a potential harm in the first place will naturally make us want to protect ourselves, right? So in that respect, she basically engages the fear part, right? The worst case scenario, which is you're smashed. You're still smashing the Omi, even though she now looks like a boy. Talk too damn much.
Again, it's not good enough to do stuff intermittently, because ultimately, even whenever you look like you're doing something, you're making your person relive the same trauma all over again. Me, at that point, I was so heavy into defensiveness. So the moment she called me something, and
he admits it, heavy into defensiveness.
Instead of like sitting with,
that is a real big issue for a lot of couples. She just I wasn't really cheating, but now obviously you want to speak, like you want to tell the truth, right? Obviously you don't want to admit to something you didn't do. You shouldn't just settle for something you didn't do. But again, in real life, right, especially gentlemen, you're gonna have to make tough choices. You have to make tough decisions sometimes. It's not always clear cut throat, easy to, it's either this or that. Sometimes you have to choose one above the other, because one creates a downstream of overall better results for yourself. That's just part of real life.
That and saying, like, what makes you feel like, have you been, like, all the stuff that we probably know to do now, at that point I'm just defending myself. Like, man, I can't do nothing right. All you do is mention what I don't do or what I do wrong. And when it look like I'm doing wrong, but I done did it and I listen to all this stuff I've been doing, it ain't nothing.
Yep.
So it started that clash, that she feeling unheard, I'm feeling unheard. And this is toward the end of the marriage. And this actually preceded, it didn't cause, it preceded the first time that I stepped out in the marriage.
Caregiver coach Pat Bailey, how are you doing today?
You know what, Lateris, I'm really not doing as well as I could today.
Why not?
Because 50% of our families are social.
As video producers, it's always so difficult to find a podcast recording software that does everything you need. But
let's see, we get there. Okay, here you go.
Researcher on what the coach.
End of the year, we separated of the marriage.
And did she ever find out about that?
That was right at the end of year one. It was after a year of engagement with none of that.
Hey.
Today.
And that was what, year one?
That was right at the end of year one. It was after a year of engagement with none of that, and then at the end of the year one of the marriage.
And did she ever find out about that?
When I confessed it to her.
Oh, you confessed it?
Yeah.
How long after?
This was when we separated up in 2020, so this was maybe a year and some change after.
Is that when she left in 2020 and went back home to her mom?
So yeah, we had, I told her I wanted to separate, so I was saying that year just off and on. It might be 4 or 5 months I'll go without doing nothing, and then we still clashing at this point. I'm in the condo. I think y'all talked about that a little bit.
So yeah,
the condo. Here we go with the condo story. All right, gentlemen. If you have a condo in downtown and your wife doesn't know, she knows. Just so you know, she knows. Okay. No, I didn't tell her, but she knows. Okay. How do I know? Because they tell me they found out long before you found out that they found out. Right? They know. All right. If you have to move that reckless, if you actually went and paid for a whole condo and you're bringing girls there from time to time, she knows. It's just she's probably waiting for a good time to catch you like this and not like this. Because if she catches you like this, all you have to do is, right? But if she catches you like, she knows, right? Bottom line, okay? And I can't help but to wonder how much energy goes into having to have a whole condo and then hide all the information about the condo. But that's kind of like public records, especially. Yeah, she knows. Anyway, but if she doesn't know yet, it's a matter of time, because there's a certain level of recklessness or reckless move you have to be making to actually rent out a whole condo in town. Now, depending on how big of a person you are, if you're a celebrity and there's probably resources and homes and properties all around and stuff like that, you might be able to hide much longer than the regular person who makes under $250,000 a year, right? But she knows. I'm sorry, I know. Why? Because energy, man. They can, like, even if they can't catch you yet, they can smell it, right? They can smell it. All I hear is excuses. I mean, if you're talking for 2.5 hours straight, yeah, I mean, this accountability, excuses. Yeah, it's probably going to be mostly excuses. But let's keep going. There's still some lessons there, you know. Let's
Off and on. It might be 4 or 5 months I'll go without doing nothing, and then we still clashing. At this point, I'm in the condo. I think y'all talked about that a little bit.
So you had 2 residents. You that's again, you balling out of control. You had this big old mansion.
balling out of control. Why do you have 2 residences? Why? Because you made $2 million in revenue last year? That's stupid. Well, you wouldn't know because you're young. I get it. I've been there before too, right? Because you have all this money. Let's just spend it now. Assumption. The next decade is going to be just as good. Ouch.
And then you had this condo in downtown Atlanta, right?
Yeah, we always had plans of having multiple homes. So at first it was my warehouse, but it was too busy over there. Then I got like Airbnb, it was like $1,000 a night. So we talked about having a condo, and then what it would look like for her to be okay with that. Clearly, it's probably not going to be.
No.
We always had plans of having multiple homes. So
they always had plans of having multiple homes. A condo in downtown is not multiple homes. Who's going to tell him? Bye.
First it was my warehouse, but it was too busy over there. Then I got like Airbnb, it was like $1,000 a night. So we talked about having a condo. And
$1,000 a night? Is that what he just said? Abi, that's a misspoken something.
And what it would look like for her to be okay with that. Clearly, it's probably not going to be.
No.
Yeah, and understandably. But the thing we came up with was she was going to have a key fob so she can get in whenever she wants, unannounced. And when we had a babysitter, we'll go down there. But that's going to be our first time having a second residence, whatever. So as time went on, when we clashed, though, I started staying at the condo more. Because I was already like, again, we working the plan. I'm a grind. I'm setting this and up.
The other excuse they usually give is like, well, if you don't spend this money, Uncle Sam is going to take it.
Let the poor
Breathe.
Uncle Sam is not take. There are ways. First of all, you're the one deciding that on your own. There are ways to structure these things that you don't have to be so wasteful. But again, I want to acknowledge that when you're young, right? What did you say? LOL, condo is where the condo happens. Condo is where the Wahala.
It's going to be residual by this year. And so it was like maybe like 3 or 4 months of coming home when we so disconnected. She would either be asleep by
This part is definitely a bunch of excuses. The condo excuse is just terrible. You got a condo downtown because you wanted to escape from home. The life at home was heated up way too much for you, and you just needed to escape, and the money was available. So bad behaviors when it's time for escapism, if you're caught up in your feelings and you're trying to escape from environment that's not conducive for you, you will participate in bad behavior. That's all of us. That would be a better excuse. And that's probably the reality. Like, you know what? I can't, you know. That's considering that he's a lover boy. He really wanted to make it work at home, but he didn't have the skills. Or he knew what to do, but he couldn't do it. There's knowledge, there's application, right? There's I know what to teach, what to demand from your husband, but I'm struggling to do the same thing myself. Right? Because he was very good at telling women what they should expect from their boyfriend. But in terms of performing it himself, it was performative in many other respects, but not in this respect. He would rather just take money and go and rent a condo. And that condo would be happening the wala.
The time I got there. Or in the time that I was in the shower, she would jump into bed and go to sleep. She was just, again, this was her way of soothing or whatever, but she didn't really talk, and I'm sitting asking whatever, so I'm coming home to a reject. I just stopped coming. Now, I wasn't immediately going to go cheat, but I'm like, you know, I would just rather stay at the condo if I instead of coming home.
You stopped coming home.
Home and being reminded that I'm despicable. And that lasted about 7-8 months.
Being reminded that you're despicable. So she's a lot of curse words, a lot of swearing, a lot of cursing you out, a lot of calling you out of your name, calling you F-boy, right? Of course, an average man at that age, they probably don't know what to do. Let me be honest with you, okay? Because I've been there before myself. You won't know what to do, okay? Now, the best thing to do is to engage with active listening. That's extremely difficult, especially if you're in your own experience, you're like, no, but that's wrong. You're a liar. You lied. No, that's a lie right there, right? If you're defensive, you call it being December. If you're engaged with that, which is probably what you'll be engaged with if you're young, yeah, you just have to be, I guess at this point you have to be lucky. But if you can get through that and you're listening to this kind of video, you understand that you're not alone, right? If you married your best friend, somebody that you went to college together, somebody that you've been going on and off for so long, and you guys couldn't do without each other, you guys enjoyed something about each other, you started having babies, but she's the closest to you. She's also the one that will curse you out the most, right? And forget about respect when you commit wahala, right? So it's a difficult thing. I understand what he's talking about, understand what he's talking about. I'm just not sure if he's learned anything in terms of application, because in that situation, the worst thing you can do is, you can back off from situation, you can stay away for a little while, but when you're coming back, I hope you've engaged wise counsel, somebody that can tell you like, hey, you need to actively listen. What is that? Active listening doesn't mean you become a doormat. That's not what it means. If that's what you thought it meant, yeah, you haven't learned anything. But let's keep going. Right? Active listening means you're now curious. You want to know where she's coming from. You kind of park your own feelings to the side for a second for the greater good of yourself. It's not about making you the underdog, right? Or you're already the underdog anyway. But it's not about being a doormat. It's about actively engaging, understanding, try to understand where she's coming from. Why should I be the one? Because you are leading. Right? You are leading. You are a leader. Oh, screw all that leadership. So no, you're missing the point. You will come back tomorrow and say you're supposed to be the leader. Right now, I'm trying to remind you, you claim you want to be the leader, right? You have to actually do that. You actually have to be a leader, not just by mouth, right? That's easier said than done. Welcome to manhood. Welcome to leadership, right? You actually have to, it's easier said than done, but it's highly rewarding if you can figure it out, if you can be patient with yourself, not with anybody else, not with me, because I don't care, but I do care, but right, with yourself. Like, everyone is not going to fall out of the sky right now because she's calling you an F-boy. Well, we shouldn't just allow women to call you an F-boy. Well, remember, you married a person that will call you an F-boy, right? Okay, so now it's your time to engage the situation with some time, patience, a process, right? And actually earn that respect you're looking for, right? How? By actually leading both of you out of that funky place. There are a couple of ways you could do it. You could do it the way I'm saying right now. There's another way which seems a lot harder, but a lot of times young modern men will think they can just do it, right? You could just walk away from the relationship too. Like, hey, it's over. That's what Derrick ended up having to do. That's not a crime too, right? That's not a crime too. It might just be what she needs for her to stop taking you for granted. Because I'm not saying you're lying, right? D-Love said that. D-Love's all the excuses, right? But I'm just saying, it doesn't matter if you're lying or not. Bottom line is that you find yourself in a funky place, in a context where you're supposed to be the leader, and she's cursing you out and calling you out your name right now, and your children are involved. Now you have to make a very, very tough decision, right? Walking away will cost you greatly, right? Staying there and figuring things out and leading her out of that funk and earning that respect will cost you too, right? But one of those costs is going to be greater than the other. I don't know. It depends on your situation. I don't know how much damage is in there, right? But there's no escaping from the work that you need to do, because you married a person that will call you out of your name, right? And you are the leader in that case, right? So what's the responsibility of the woman in all of this? Same responsibility if she's complaining. Same responsibility. If she's the one complaining, she has the same responsibility, right? If she's not complaining, if somehow she's managed to be enjoying this funky place, hey, there's consequences for that too. But I'm talking to you, man or woman, whichever one you are. At least temporarily, you're gonna have to lead yourself out of that funky place. At least yourself, right? But if you're a man and you're claiming to be the leader, that means you have to lead you, her, and your children out of that funky place, because it's your home and it's your responsibility to set that tone, right? And lead your family out of that funk. And yes, it's easier said than done. Let's keep going.
That's before I started back tripping out, before I started back, stepping out and stuff.
So what you did, you said, so the first time towards the end of about December the first year, and then you cheat, then you come back, confess, and then
no, I didn't confess. So that time,
confessed towards when y'all
after we really fell out. So
in 2020,
yeah. So in that time, in 2019, mid 2019, so I started tripping out. I'm like, this is definitely over. I can't do this.
What if you could do SEO smarter?
So if you, according to him himself, he did a lot of back and forth. I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. She will have a hard time trusting you. Every next time you say, let's do it again, she can't really trust you. She might even try to and want to trust you and sit down with a salvation helmet and try to help you save. But yeah, she probably do back and forth just like you because she's mimicking you. And tomorrow she'll be like, you're full of it. Okay. Yeah.
First of all, y'all got married what year? 2019?
Beginning of 2018.
Y'all got married beginning of 2018.
January 13th.
So that means the end of 2018, that's when you cheated.
Yep,
and
for
then,
the first time.
And then 2019 came around.
2019, it's like, oh, get back on track. Just, bygones, forget about it. Never happened. And then it was about 7-8 months in where we still was having the same type of clashes. And even though I wasn't doing anything, it's like, man, I can't be around her. I can't, I need my peace.
It wasn't the same. Was it the same woman that you would go back to, or you went back to your old ways?
Because I didn't want basically old ways. So my whole thing, and it's crazy.
You had sex with the same person over and over again.
It's going to build up something.
It's going to build up something. So you want to make it where it's multiple people, so it's not so.
So that's not supposed to be said out loud, okay, gentlemen. There's some things that's not supposed to be said out loud. Oh, dude, mate batiobo. Like, listen, don't do that. It's too much talking already. Like, let's say he came back 10 years from now, because I don't know what he got from these 2 sessions right now. Except we got stuff from it. We extracted some lessons, right? Let's say you come back. Let me see here. Hold on 1 second. What's going on here? Okay, sorry. So let's say he comes back 10 years from now and somebody said, "Oh yeah, you had some issues with the family. How's the family there? Everybody's good." Like, did you really cheat? I mean, that's like 10 years ago. Let's just say I was a bad boy, Let's talk about the book I'm launching right now. That's a better position to be in.
Which is it's wild even thinking about the justifications and exceptions. Like, well, this ain't so bad because I ain't letting them fall in love. It's not a relationship. It's just something physical or whatever. But that's exactly what I was thinking.
That's real.
That's exactly what I was like. And man, don't let it go too far with one. And then you had to mix that. Like, I ain't saying you got to, but I was mixing that in with, all right, man, stop. Just like, all right, I got it off. I got that off my system. Get back in. And then we'll go a good couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, and we clash again.
What's interesting is that y'all never completed the counseling sessions that y'all have for premarital counseling, and those same issues then do never follow you into the marriage.
Absolutely.
And so now we see the clash of the titans take place in 2020, where she said that she left, and she left, and no notice. You basically come home, your family gone.
Something like that. So what happened was I was like, enough of this cheating stuff. I'm done again. This time I'm going back in. If it don't work, it don't work. This was in like end of December of 2019, actually. I think maybe the January 1st, 2nd, something like that. And I burnt every bridge I had.
What is looking like burning bridges? What is
burning bridges is like, I don't want to continue this any further.
I mean, do you say that to the women?
Yes.
So you have a conversation and say,
I send a text. I was sending a text.
Are you sending a text?
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't finna mess around with you no more.
Don't want to mislead you. I don't see this going any further. We're done. Don't expect to hear from me. That kind of thing.
And I'm tapping back into my wife, or do you say?
I wouldn't even say that. I think at that time for those messages, I just was saying like, we're done. But they knew what it was. They knew I was on the outs. We were estranged. We were in different places.
So when you go back to a bunch of side chicks and you say we're done, what do you think is gonna happen? From what you know right now with the human mind, right? What is gonna happen when you go back to a bunch of side chicks and say, "Let me go to her house and go and tell her we're done"? That's an extreme scenario. Let's just use that for a second. He didn't say that, but let's use that for a second. Let me go to her house and go and tell her that we're done. Oh Lord.
I sent a text. I was sending a text.
Are you sending a text?
Yeah, like maybe the
So it was sending text. Okay, let me text all these people that we are done. I'm going back to my wife. Right.
January 1st, 2nd, something like that. And I burnt every bridge I had.
What is looking like burning bridges?
So it tends to burn bridges, right? That's his thing. Let's burn bridges. Let's just burn bridges. It's extreme measures that really creates no solutions, right? It's like people want to block it, like I block this, I block you, I block that, but somehow they always end up in toxic situation. Have you ever noticed? Somehow, some way, they always end up in toxic situation, right?
Burning bridges is like, I don't want to continue this any further.
I mean, do you say that to the women?
Yes.
So you have a conversation and say,
I sent a text. I was sending a text.
Are you sending a text?
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't finna mess around with you no more.
Don't want to mislead you. I don't see this going any further.
I don't want to mislead you. these people knew you were married, right? And you had to send them text. I don't want to mislead you. So what are you suggesting that you should have done? Listen, all I can tell you is this. The best apology is change behavior, right? A bunch of text messages that people can take screenshots and send to Tasha K. This is a testament to exactly how you've been moving, reckless from the beginning, right? Everything got to be pronounced out in words and text messages, and then you wonder, like I can't do nothing right because you talk too much. That's why. Okay, you could never do anything right because you're doing everything. So majority of the things we all do will be wrong. That's life. That's business. That's anything in life. Majority of any moves you make will be wrong. But so if you're not just throwing everything against the wall, hoping that something will stick, one day somebody will say I'm right. Like, it's no wonder, right? Why send such text messages around town? Like, why?
Brother, we're done. Don't expect to hear from me. That kind of thing. And
if you tell a lady we're done, I'm not gonna mess around with you anymore. I don't want to lead you on. So tell me what happened in her mind. She's like, oh, he's such a lover boy. He just wants, yeah. He just said, yeah, he should go back to his family. Yeah, go back to your family. I understand. Is that how that plays out? Right? Probably not, right? That's not how that plays out, right? So they're not going to come out and say, no, you can't go back. But I'm telling you, you're going to make, you probably made these people feel some type of way. What is some type of way? Well, he's kind of right, but screw him. Nah, I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt. He's kind of right, but forget that. Tadi about Damilogun. I'm happy for Lenyini. Like, you're going back to where? Your father. Right? Feel some type of way. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I think I'm kind of wrong, but I don't want to admit that I'm wrong for dating somebody else's husband in the first place. The energy of anything you focus on expands. That's the way it works. Intentions. Yeah, intentions in the what up. Oh Lord, I'm just gonna burn bridges. Tell them to go back to their own family's house.
Am I tapping back into my wife, or do you say?
I wouldn't even say that. I think at that time for those messages, I just was saying like we're done. But they knew what it was. They knew I was on the outs. We were estranged. We were in different all these things.
Yeah.
So none of them really gave me too much flack about it at that time. But for me, I'm like I'm dipping in out of giving myself excuses. So sometimes I do, and sometimes I feel guilty. I feel like the hypocrite I was being. I feel like, man, I'm leading people. I'm preaching, and I'm counseling, whatever.
I believe in this part. He was feeling like a hypocrite, which is why he kept misfiring and doing all the wrong things. I believe in that part. Hey, Chinye Alpha, how you doing? Welcome. Right? I believe him in that. Which is why he will go and participate in bad behavior and then come back and confess. Participate. What you do is you create inconsistencies. Even though your intentions may be in the right place, they can't trust you. You can't be trusted. Period.
But I'm not living it.
Being trusted does not mean you are walking a straight line and you're perfect. That's not what it means. It just means that person's experience of you is consistent. They can count on you being where you say you will be. You know?
Right. And so I would, the resentment had me feeling like, well, in this situation, it's different because I feel like this. I done rolled out the red carpet. I done been everything she asked me to be and more. And it's been spat on. That's just resentment talking and having you thinking that, oh, it's cool because.
Yeah,
but
justified.
But then that truth really hit you at some point when you're talking about it and somebody say something like, I'm glad there are men like you in the world.
And then that
conviction hit. Honestly, bro, I ain't
and then you start feeling guilty.
How did it feel? She said one day she called you out, and this was early on before y'all got married. She said, do you even believe the stuff that you say?
Yeah, this was back in North Carolina.
Right.
That's gotta
I
be
felt
harsh.
like I understood what she was saying, but I was like, why is this the first time you referencing my career? Because, okay, I didn't just talk about don't cheat. A lot of my stuff was about, leave thoughtful gifts, write poems, write love letters, let her know how you feel, all these different efforts, sacrifice, breakfast in bed. These are things I all did. And I was like, why is it that stuff is obsolete? And the only thing that exists to you.
Do we need to tell him why all those things are obsolete? Do we need to tell him that? Because maybe he would tell on himself.
Is the time I've now come up short. That's when if you ask me about this stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, of course, that is an eraser. If I gave you...
That is an eraser. It drowns everything out. Go Kumara.
A car, gave you Birkin bags, if I bought you Chanel shoes and all this type of stuff, but I can't be faithful. She's like, I don't give a damn, you keep all this nonsense. I want you to, what's free is fidelity.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Absolutely. And at that time,
Was free, fidelity is not free. Okay, fidelity is not free. Ladies, even if fidelity is fall in the poto, if you get it all the time and it doesn't know how to stimulate the mind in the other direction, if it seems predictable all the time, that one too will end up in the poto all the time. So it's not necessarily because it's free, it's because she doesn't have that. Shout out to Markins. We all want what we can't have. That's just the way the human mind works, right? That's why everything you've given her is, but that one thing she can't have is what she's focused on. Now there's a way to find a balance, to create a balance where people can actually be content in being with you. The hack is consistency. It's still consistency. Almost a blurry line between that and predictability, because that's boring, right? But consistency when it comes to security, safety, and love, right? You can't afford to not pay attention to that in the name of, oh, she likes things spicy, right? There's a way to throw in a little bit here and there, right, to make things spicy. But I think it goes back to, again, she wants fidelity because that's what she doesn't have right now. And if you as a leader don't understand that, you will provide fidelity, and then you will complain that women just don't want, like, you can't satisfy them, right? Yeah, it's complicated, but it's actually not that complicated. It's just understanding that there are 6 basic human needs, right? And overall, you got to take care of all of that. The idea that you would take care of all of it in any instant in time, it's unrealistic. You can't. You're just human. You also have needs, right? But overall, if a person can look over the last 5 years and they can say they feel safe and secure, they feel like they've had a good time being around you, they feel significant, as in they don't feel like less than around you, which clearly the wife was feeling because she was a stay-at-home wife who seemed to, her whole life revolve around Derrick Jaxn, right? You will see that come up in a second here too, right? All those things overall, if people can look at their life that they spent with you and they feel like majority of that is lacking, they're going to blame it on you, not directly, but they're going to be like, I need to find my levels. Being with this person has been bad luck, right? It's not about blaming yourself. It's just to understand where that's coming from. That's just human beings.
Again, I'm not thinking like that.
Of course.
I'm measuring myself not just by I eventually was unfaithful. I'm measuring myself by the times that I went to sleep with her in that bed knowing I wasn't going to get none, and she turning over for 3 months.
Yeah.
So
He's the one measuring it. Why are you measuring? Jesus Christ. Even using the word measuring is crazy. But anyway, let's
looking at it now, understand it. But exactly what you said. Sometimes the good ain't worth it, depending on what bad it is.
Now, the good is always worth it as long as you're doing it for you. It's like saying virginity is not worth it. No, it's worth it. If you now say you're doing it for the other person, maybe you can say it's not worth it. Well, that's because you were doing it for the wrong reasons. It lacked purpose, right? If I go sleep in bed with my wife tonight and I don't get none tonight, and then I consider it wasn't worth it, that's because the whole thing lacked purpose in the first place. Just because of that one night. Oh, maybe it was a straight 3 nights. Oh, maybe it was straight 3 months of none, right? God forbid you end up with a 6th spouse. All 3 months of it will be worth it because all you want is just for her to stay here for another 30 years, right? I'm assuming you are in your 70s. Now suddenly every night will be worth it. Frame of reference. Exactly what are you measuring? When you measure, are you measuring against what? What's the purpose? That's the whole point of purpose. What are you measuring? You just measuring, oh, I came here, I slept, how many nights did I sleep? With respect to what? You just married her in 2018, and from all indications, there's been a lot of issues. It's crazy. We all do this, by the way. It's not just Derrick Jaxn. We all do this. Just a way to self-reflect when you're measuring. When somebody said percentage means there are at least 2 numbers involved in that situation, not just a number. Oh yeah, that level was 15. 15 of what? What does 15 mean? With respect to what? Right? You're measuring every night you went to sleep knowing you weren't going to get none. Why were you not going to get any? What was going on in that relationship, right? Even if it's at least she's an evil person, tell me something to work with.
And we go back to that. When did she actually tell you that, hey, I had been through this sexual assault early on, a couple of weeks before we met?
This was in Greenville, so I didn't get the full scope for years. I didn't know the timeline. She had just told me first, she told me, okay, it was this person, and it was before you that I got raped or what have you. And that was in North Carolina. So that had to be like 5-6 years in. So that was the first time.
She said just kind of said it real quick and just went on about it.
Well, it was kind of like in the middle of some type of conversation, some things we hadn't told each other. She revealed that, and I was like, I don't even know how to handle that. I don't think either of us knew just how much it affected her,
of course.
Or our sexual relationship. Because every time I think anyway that we was having sex, I think it kind of re-traumatized her.
Yep.
Because especially not to get graphic, the type of affection I show and the way I move in that bedroom, and then on top of that, the porn saying this is intimacy.
Yep.
So I didn't know what she was going through in sex, after sex with me. And because of what she had gone through before. And it was always expressing in different ways. But I mean, it was me trying to piece it together like, oh, this is why I get the type of anger and rage that probably was meant for such and such, but is now coming towards me.
That's real. When did...
All right, so because she had some trauma with regards to sex before, she was dishing him woto, right? Oh, by the way, that is a default of life. Not particularly the event of an assault, right? But we all bring something to the table. So anything you're going through right now, with respect to everything else you've been going through, your experience, you might react in certain ways, right? And unfortunately, all of us, we're never prepared, right? We're never prepared for how people's background in life can affect our present, right? But as you grow older, as you become wiser in life, the hope is that you're able to say, what's going on, You're able to say, actually by removing yourself and say what's going on, and understand that if you're going to serve a person, you need to understand that service to them is not necessarily what you might consider service to them. They actually need to be receiving. They need to feel like they're receiving. If they don't feel like they're receiving, you got to pay attention to that. So a lot of people will say, oh yeah, you can never fix it. Once you find somebody like that, well, just avoid it. I was like, no, actually, this one thing, which is they bring trauma to the table at some level, and you're going to have to learn how to listen actively and move accordingly in order to enjoy what that person actually brings to the table. Is a default, no matter who you be with. Now, for people to people, from people's situations, it's different, right? But you need to engage that. Engage the idea that people bring something, some kind of effect of bad experiences to the table, and you have to pay attention to that. So when he describes that, it's not just him, right? It's not just, oh, he should have known better. No one can know better up front. With experience, right? Sometimes you have to lose everything first before you start building something else. That's just how life works, And sometimes you're able to rebuild a foundation from wherever you are, and then get something out of it, Sooner or later, I'm also going to bring my brother here so we can have a conversation live. We have a conversation. I said at least 2 times in the lifetime of your marriage, you're going to have to rebuild the foundation. And we don't include the foundation before the wedding, okay? That's actually nothing. But you're going to have to rebuild the foundation at least 2 times. And you know how he responded to me? He said 2 times. He said, you're going to have to do it all the time. And I'm like, damn. And so I'm like, no, every time, But I get where it's going at. The point is that when there are issues, you have to destroy the structure sometimes all the way down to the foundation. At least it's called root cause analysis, right? You have to find out deeper. And if you can't actively listen, it's impossible. If you're busy being defensive, that's very tough,
She revealed the next layer of it. You said she give you a piece here, and then when did it finally hit you wow, this is connecting the dots of all this?
So after our the separation in February of 2020, when I woke up and the family was gone, I had been asking about seeing the kids and how could we work that out, and she jetted. We went up and down to whether or not we was gonna make the marriage work. We was gonna try to anyway. And so one of those efforts later on was with a trauma recovery specialist or something like that. I think she mentioned her before, Dr. Smith.
Yeah, she said she had all kind of counselors and therapists.
Yeah, we went through quite a few, but that was whenever she knew how she had the competence to really deal with that.
Right.
And it was again permeating. So, of course, what's gotten sensationalized is my part and all the things that I did, but we were dealing with the twofold issues before there was any infidelity, and part of it was how she showed up in conflict. That's when we went in deep, and then the therapist was steady helping helping me become an ally to her because I was like, I don't want to traumatize her. Like, this is still a woman I love. I want to make it work and stuff, but how do I help her if I can help her heal? And it meant like certain exercises to get her comfortable with my touch, knowing that I was safe, I was different. So that was it, man. I was saying about the summer, I mean, maybe like May of 2020.
Yeah.
To put it all together, it was a couple of months into the separation.
And so when y'all were separated, y'all were still working towards helping the relationship?
Here and there. So, you know, any little argument or whatever could cause her to ghost. There was a couple of times I just, you know, I honestly thought it was over a few times, but I would try to keep in contact with the kids and she might ghost me for a week or two and I can't talk to nobody. Yeah, but most of that we were up until I would say about May or June. And then that was whenever it was like, we get a divorce lawyer. She's basically let me know it's over with. I don't care what you do. And yeah.
During that time when she left, did you find that as an opportunity to say, okay, she gone. I don't know what happened to this marriage anyway. Were you like, finna wild out again? I'm single now.
The only time when I started wilding out was when my birthday came in July. Before that, I was just flying up there. I probably
so you tell me during that time she's gone. Now you want to be faithful?
Right. So I mean, right. No, exactly. Now
that's how life works. You know, once you lose it, there's this thing called you know, there's pressure. You know, there's pressure before the wedding. Oh, I was pressurized to get married, or you indirectly suggest that somebody pressurized you before you got married. Yeah. Listen, we need to. There's some things that's just not worth it. We need to just completely remove from our lingos, from our conversations when it comes to marriage. Okay, anybody can turn around and say I was pressurized to get married. I'm not sure if I was really ready. No one was ready. No one. Okay, no one was ready.
Everything I do, I will.
In the same token, everybody was ready. You had more than you needed. You had more than you needed. Okay? If you were able to attract somebody to submit their life to you and do life with you, you had more than you needed. Because those ones that are successfully did long term, however way they did it, they got to a point, they questioned if they were ever ready to. So that makes 2 get 2. That means all of us were equal. Right? That's an excuse. At the end of the day. That's an excuse. You know? So the idea of pressure before we got married is a myth. Okay? Because now it's equal for all of us, I have to call it a myth. Let's not make that relevant again. Please, I beg. Let's continue.
Now that she's gone, now I want to prove myself. But the thing was, again, I gave my life to Christ in February. And I was trying my best to walk this straight line. This is before she left, before she knew anything. I was in my truck and I had a conversation with God, like I got away from you. You know, earlier in my years, I was with you and now look at how things have turned out. So now I'm walking a separate walk from her. We walk in this thing for marriage, but I'm personally trying to be aligned. You know, clearly I'm not good at this, whatever. So in this time, I'm just whatever it takes to close the gap. If she's not want to talk to me this week or what have you, let me be with the kids because they were begging for me, especially Marley. I would hear Marley crying for me and she would ask me when I'm gonna see you again. Honestly, we all at the mercy of your mama's. I ain't say this, but I was like thinking to myself, we all at the mercy of your mama's anger with me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to soothe her. I was just trying to be close.
Yeah. Ain't that a word? Let's see. Okay, there you go.
And if everybody else on pandemic, I'm flying. I probably spent like $20,000-$30,000 just in that time between flights, Airbnbs, and everything else.
She wouldn't let you come stay with, or no, she was with her mom.
She wouldn't even tell me which. And her mom.
She told me her mama told her not to talk to you, not to.
Her mama was.
All right, wait. See that deep breath he took when they said mom?
Are you mad?
You see that deep breath that he took? Like, mom? Mommy.
He shock you.
Yeah. Let me play that back again.
Airbnbs and everything else.
She wouldn't let you come stay with, or no, she was with her mom.
She wouldn't even tell me which. And her mom.
She told me her mama told her not to talk to you, not to.
Her mama was so heavily involved in our marriage, in our restoration. The counselors, the pastors all said, y'all can't make this work if she's involved.
Yeah. That's a fact. The mom showed him shaggy. I 100% believe him on that. Okay? The mom showed him shaggy. And according to this story, even towards the end, it seems like it ended up actually destroying the marriage altogether. That was a big part of what completely destroyed the marriage. Yep. But let's continue.
Oh, beauty. She was in the counseling session with her, like marriage counseling session with her. And I
with y'all?
Yes.
She was in the counseling
One, she
with
was in the
her.
session beforehand. She was in, then they would have personal sessions with the therapist. And then we got back joint with the same therapist. She said, why is your mother in the same room as your counseling? Do you not have a boundary with your mother? Why is she in there? That was the first time. And then after that, when we was going to reconcile, we came together with our pastor, because we had the same pastor, and we sat down. Her mom came and sat in on our family restoration session and what have you. I understand to a degree though, because she's seen her daughter go through so much. Any parent, I'm sure myself, it would be like, nah, whatever it takes. Don't care what rules I'm breaking. Don't tell me no Bible verses. I'm here to make sure my baby is good. But she was as much as part of the marriage as me and Danae were, probably even more.
Well, you said she's sitting in the counseling. I've never seen that before.
Yeah,
That's
it was kind of crazy.
Was there any type of abuse that would allow her to want to step?
Not abuse, man. No physical abuse. You know, if you consider cheating abuse, then yeah, especially emotional, it definitely caused trauma. But nothing where she was like in danger. Her and her mom, this is just my belief, have a weird relationship. It's more like girlfriends because they're only like 15 years apart, 16 years apart. But her mother from day one didn't like me. And I think whenever I hurt the nigga, he's like, oh, see, I was right.
Yeah, confirmation.
And so that's an all access pass to stay in the relationship no matter what.
All right. So if you use the certain languages that you use, right, that we actually control how you move next. Okay. There's certain languages that you use for yourself. Some people, he calls it telling yourself stories, but actually words that you say out, right, that will actually affect how you mitigate risk, that will affect how you respond to crisis. That will, if you say things like her mom had somewhat of a weird relationship, right, the only response I can think of that will make sense, the only response that can make sense to that, as a man, as a husband who wants to keep his home together and stuff like that, when that's your mindset about her mom, right, your response that will make sense to you, inevitably makes sense to you at that point, is to see the mom as an antagonist. Is that a word, right? Like an antagonist. Is antagonist, right? Yeah. Like Alantako. That's Yoruba for it. Like a person who is as the enemy of your relationship. Because that's how you see it, right? And what do you do with enemies? Right? That's what you do with enemies, right? Either with your words, probably more so with your words, your attitude, right? And how do you think the daughter is going to take that? If the daughter really loves you, which usually the case is, at least they're at least on some level obsessed with you, because you're a lover, you're a romantic lover at the end of the day, right? Yeah, like, oh, thank you, Jared, you're antagonist, right? So if you see her that way, it shows up in your behavior, right? And it's shown since day one, right? So even though you might say things like, I kind of understand because, you know, that's her daughter. I kind of understand, the mind doesn't understand that, right? What the mind, your mind, and everybody's when it comes to energy, the only thing to understand is the subject, which is you can't stand mama, right? So even if she sees you as a lover, the best thing she can give you, even if she's confused and obsessed with you as a lover, is confusion. She's confused because now you put her in the middle, right? My mama is my mama, that's my husband, right? And if you continue that attitude, it's an attitude, you can change it, okay? It's easier said than done, but you can change it. If you continue that attitude, oh yes, no wonder. Yeah, of course, absolutely, mama will come between that marriage. Are you kidding me? Of course. Mama is that powerful. Yes, mothers are that powerful. Oh yeah. And by the way, the worst part is that you can't blame them for that. This is just something that you hope that God will bless you with the grace to understand this or not. If you don't have the grace to understand this, your marriage, yeah, will end up in the potapoto. Yeah. But we should hold mothers accountable, brotherly. Your matter, eh? You have to hold mama accountable. Okay. All right, good luck. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's mother-in-law, father, or mother side, by the way. It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. The first thing I'll tell you is that I hope you have the grace, okay, that I just described. But if you have the grace, what you'll be doing is like, all right, that's my mother too. All right, let's pretend like that's my mother. Okay, pretend is even a terrible word, because pretend emotions will not be your mate. Pretend emotions will override it. You need to really mean it. You have to mean it, that that's my mother too. Because if you had a mother like that, you would accept everything that comes with it. You will even justify it. That's where you need to be at, where you're justifying it, right? So if she's coming in the counseling room, it's nothing other than somehow her brain has processed that she's protecting her child. That's the way her brain has processed it, right? What would that look like if you said, that's fine, right? Now, flip it. What would that look like? I said, what do you want? Why are you in here? Do you not have boundaries for your mother? See, just because we spoke Onyibo, we think somehow we escape certain things, right? When there's actual pressure.
Everything I do, I will. Pressure to what?
Somehow we think, oh, just boundaries. Boundaries. Yeah, like boundaries kill you there. Let the poor.
Let be poor. Breathe.
Boundaries call. Boundary ni. Anyway, so and of course, what do you think a counselor or Onyibo counselor therapy will say? Like, yeah, you need to set boundaries for your mother. And she's probably like, yeah, I know my mother, I know I'm trying to, but I don't know, have you ever seen that person before? I don't, Candy from the House of Atlanta, right? You see a relationship with her and her mother? Would you consider that toxic?
You doing what?
Okay, let's continue.
My belief was, I've done my wrong, but we as adults, we're 30-something years old, we're not children. And we have professionals that are involved.
Right.
We have godly counsel that's involved. And we both professed our lives to be, Jesus. Jesus our Lord and Savior. So we're going by this construct now. It's time for mom to get some healthy separation.
Which is leaving in Cleveland.
Leaving in Cleveland. So love on, I'm talking to Danae because honestly, she's a gatekeeper.
Now, the leaving to Cleveland is you're going to have to lead with that first, You have to lead with that, I 100% agree. However, prescribing that and you are the husband, it's the same thing as she's saying God said to you. Remember how he made you, because I don't know if you guys caught where he said God, like she started doing God said to him and he started to feel weird. It's the same thing when you're the husband and you start coming from this father prophet standpoint and you say you need to tell your mom, like she's gonna start thinking you're telling her what to do. And as much as she might want to, she might not be able to do it because emotions are nobody's mate, Yeah, boundaries call, boundary. Ola, it's not about grace to understand, but it's usually end the marriage. Godly parents pray for their children marriage, not unduly interfering. Yeah, see, on paper, sir, I think we kind of all know this. Some people don't know, you're right. But some people, after they know, they just do laugh. They just kind of do laugh, like that small laugh right there. And you're like,
He shock you.
They just be like, yeah, you're right. We should leave to Cleve. Let me stay in my house. She will stay in the house, But Yoruba mothers will probably tell you like, Orabiamo. So what's the solution? I guess that's what we're waiting for. What's the solution when you are presented with a mother-in-law like that? Outside of just set the boundaries. Set the boundaries. I don't know. Like I said, grace, that about, but more so grace to give us wisdom to handle that. But if it was me, I'm. If it's purely emotional, I'm going to give them satisfaction of that emotions they're looking to satisfy. That's me coming from experience, by the way. Most people don't know to do that. What most people will do, like, no, let's push back. Let's just hold them accountable. Like that accountability is there. I would give her everything. She want to be inside the council. I said, Mommy, she can step out. Can I? No, what Joko. Okay, I'll sit down. I'm saying it because it happened to me before. Okay, her mother took over the conversation. When they were done, they said, what do you have to say? I said, nothing. I said, God will give us grace. God will give us wisdom, and we're going to get through this. Come and see standing ovation. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, even my mother wanted to talk because the mother already talked. So my mother wanted to do her own mother thing too. I said, Mom, no. We got enough from what she said. We're going to go work on that. Does that actually mean we're guilty? No. It doesn't mean we're guilty. You got to manage the energy as opposed to managing what they said. Right? Most people are engaged with what that person said. You must, like, what did they say? It's 5 of us inside of this place. Supposed to be 2 people in counseling. It's 5 of us here. So it's become a family matter. This is not a counseling. At that point, you just know it's not a counseling. And what do I always say here? Engage individual counsel for yourself first. Then after that, use seduction to attract your partner into counseling. Don't drag them there. It won't work. You just go there and argue. Nothing will happen. After that, you're just going back and forth. Most people engage in counseling. Did you know that majority of them, about 60% of them, end up divorcing anyway? Did you know that? Why? Because they do it wrongly. Because they're actively trying to control other people into their own idea of whatever we're talking about. So what do you do if the mother wants to come in counseling? You say, mother wants to come to counseling. Let her come and sit down, mommy, what do you think we should do with these issues that are here right now? You don't fight against that. You fight against that, it gets worse. Because remember, she's in that weak place, her mother. Now you're fighting her mother, and she's confused. Because really, she sees on paper what Brother Patrick said. And she knows that's the correct thing. But the mind, the emotions are disconnected from that. So she's actively looking for ways to justify that. This is all your fault.
She what?
Yeah. This is how it plays out in real life. Unfortunately, it's not often the way it's written on paper, unfortunately. And that's why I'm spelling it out, Yeah, living and cleaving. Okay, whatever you say, Derrick. What's up, gracious greatness? Wala. At this point, Derrick should go become Oscar nominee because all this yanni. But we're getting tons of lessons from me too. Lessons upon lessons. Even me myself. A reminder of a lot of things I went through myself. A reminder, a confirmation that the methods that I teach works. Because everything else just don't work. I'm sorry. Okay? It just doesn't work, What works is understanding human emotions. That's the only thing that works. It works because everybody has something they care about. Everybody has something that they care about. And if you're not even patient enough to find out what that is, then you create the same result you okay. Why would the mother wants to be in the counseling? What is it that she cares about? What is her motive? What does she want? As a leader in that situation, the man in that situation, that's an opportunity for you to earn a little respect. Just like that. Take advantage of it. Mama, you want to be like, okay, Mama, what's on your mind, mommy? Oh no, but mommy should not be here. What would the counselor say? The therapy and average therapist say, you should draw boundaries for your mother. What would the emotions say at that point in time? What do you think the emotions would say? No, somebody guess what the emotions would say. I'll give you cheat sheet a little bit. Cheat sheet.
Don't care, still don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
So if we know that not just her emotions, but even yours, because once you engage your emotions, right? Now you're caught up in your feelings. You're like, but you should put boundaries. Well, actually, it almost sounds like you're talking from paper, like you're just saying the right thing too, right? But all of us, it's all lies, okay? It's all lies. All of us, right? Because at that point, your emotions are engaged. You're trying to correct what seems to be wrong. Let's call a spade a spade. She needs to get out. She needs to get out. in your mind, yeah, but that's the correct thing to do. We should hold people accountable. But how?
How, Sway?
How? This is what I mean by seduction. It's an opportunity to seduce. She wants to sit in counseling with you. You have two choices. You engage your right and wrong mindset, or you can say, what does she want? No, authentically mean that. What is it that she wants by wanting to be in this space? What she wants, you might not actually be able to figure it out that day. Do you have that level of patience? Are you able to say, I'm not sure if I follow you, but go ahead and tell me more. Are you able to say that? Well, it's easier said than done, because again, remember, you get caught up in your own feelings. What's your feelings? Your feeling is that mothers should not sit in counseling with their, right? Me and you agree is wrong, right? In fact, I think you're right.
Well, you're right.
I really do. But your righteousness is, as far as results, how's that working out?
But to that point, yes, she was with her mom. Her mom would often speak over her while we were on the phone, all kinds of stuff. And then, that's one of those things that I still got to work on my heart. Because
like I said, when I mentioned that, your whole, I said, is he finna cry or is he finna get mad?
Well, I try, man, look, I'm not trying to stir up nothing, because again, I get her mother's MO.
Anticipation, the reason why
I get
it was to be protective.
But
then
then
sometimes
I was
cross
right, and that's the kind of thing that's going on. But to your point, the entire time we were trying to restore, all the way from February, March. Now we done flew over to churches. We done. There's a lot that's going on.
She said that she gave you some homework assignments. She was like, I want to see you get stronger with build your relationship with God, get some accountability around you, be more present in your kids' life, because you got like most men, they get to working and doing all type of stuff. That she said she wants you to be more intentional on spending time with your kids. And I think there's one other thing. Are those true? Those three things?
To a degree, it wasn't to spend time with the kids, and we kind of had a little back and forth about that, because I love spending time with the kids. If they're ever around us, you'll see they gravitate towards me, because I love my kids, and that was the whole plan, to get back to where we can both be in. But yes, for a time, I'm gonna be away from the house most of the day. So I had about an hour or two per day of quality time that I could do, and on the weekends a little bit more. But what I understood what she was saying, because I want to speak for her, was her saying, I want you to do some of the things with the kids, like wake them up, get them to school, pick them up.
The daily task.
And we had a little bit of a beef about that, because I'm like, hold on.
You work from home. I mean, I guess she was working, but she was a stay-at-home wife, but then she would help you on some back-end stuff. You saying, that's your role. You got the time for it. Let me go hunt.
It was a plan. Yeah. And the plan wasn't just that she'd be, because that's a hard job.
Yeah.
2 young kids, 2 under 2. But I had already invested in a private school, $2,500 a month. So 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
For some 2-year-olds?
Two, at this point, I think one just turned 3, Mom just turned 3.
$2,500 a month
1.5 going on 2.
You had some little kids in private school?
In private school. There was a little God school down there, because it was too young for pre-K. So it was a daycare, but it was a private school. They had a curriculum and everything else.
So they would go there Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day.
What was Linnea doing then?
So this was our conversation where we clashed on exactly what all she was doing, because then we had babysitters. So she had raised some of these issues like, hey, the house is too big to clean. I'm really exhausted with the kids every day.
House is too big to clean. Babies, I guess 2 or 3 babies. They were with babysitters 8 hours a day. Right? He's spending $2,500 a month, which he's bringing in income. They're bringing in the income. Right, let's call it the way it's supposed to be. We're bringing in the income, right? And Latara's here is asking, what was Denia doing, right? Well, it's sweet for it to come from his mouth. Well, it cannot come from Derrick's mouth, right? Because at that point in time, what do you know? What am I doing, right? Well, he's afraid of asking that question because he doesn't want to seem like he's not appreciative of his wife. Right, there's a lot going on there. What was she doing? Right, it's a good question. What was she doing? Let's see if they answer us. Right, $2,500 for anything before pre-K. That's very easy to spend. Before you know it, it adds up. Especially with multiple kids in a month. They're paying for babysitting. She's also complaining at the same time that the house is too big. Right, so the house is too big. Well, you might as well just pay for the cleaners. You bought a big house, right? You might as well just pay for the cleaners. She's on soft life. Wife wants to be on soft life. What's wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. No, Ola, but there's another part of the conversation. She should be helping with something. Well, what would she like to help with? No. She should be doing something. Let's see if they will tell us more.
Okay, so I already had said, okay, all I need you to do is tell me. So I made the investment for private school, for the sitter, for the cleaning service to come twice a week. And whenever she had this demand, I'm like, look, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it back in your good graces, whatever, but I also want to be reasonable. If I'm working, paying every bill, you don't have to touch anything, whatever, and that includes the fun stuff, and investing in the soft life thing, what are you going to be doing? That's what I asked. Because by this time, she's not working with the company anymore, actually. She wasn't working anymore. She had been said, I want to do my own thing. So I was like, whatever you want to do, I'll invest in. I want to support you. So I'm like, you're not working in the business.
So what did you do? She had a clothing shop or something?
Nothing at all at this point. She had talked about real estate, and I paid for whatever it took for that, but she didn't really pursue it.
He paid for real estate classes. She did not pursue it. This is very tricky, very, very tricky, very delicate, very dangerous, right? This dynamic right here is probably one of the issues that destroy their marriage, okay? And it's not particularly because she was wrong. Again, that's not relevant to a lot of these issues, okay? But it's tricky because in one aspect, like, you want to supportive. In the other aspect, she probably depends on you a lot to come up with the ideas. In the other aspect, she's probably like, well, let me do what I want to do. You go do your own thing, right? Another layer to it is that, well, I don't feel fulfilled in this situation. Well, guess who's on the receiving end of that? When she doesn't feel fulfilled in the relationship, all of them, especially him, right? Well, how can I help? Because men generally want to fix the problems. We don't, like, if we can see the solution right there, we want to fix it. Like, okay, I know you're stuck over here, but I can walk you to the solution. No, I want to go through my own process. As a woman, there's a process, right? Oftentimes, this is not said in words. Everybody's just confused, right? So a lot of things you're saying right now makes sense. Not particularly from the standpoint that she was wrong. It's just the cards they were dealt. And he probably did not have the skill set to handle that, right? He said something later on, I think, I don't know if it's before, that, you know, he thought if he could move in a certain way, it would be, hey, listen, this is real life. A lot of that is patience. It's not fixing the issues in real time. Paying $2,500 for I was about to say child support, but for child care, I don't care if you have $2 million in the account. That's a lot of money. That's going to eat into your bank account every day. Eventually, you're going to start asking questions, right? It's either you ask questions or you really want to ask questions. You can't ask questions, meaning you're storing resentments. When a man is storing resentments against his wife or the way the wife moves, it's not always, it doesn't look like resentment. It looks like I'm just taking care of my wife, right? It looks like I should suck it in, I should deal with it, I'm a man. Something about emotions. The cream always rises to the top. It will come back and haunt them. Oh well, it probably came back and haunts them, you know. But let's see, you know, let me see here. Men just want to cut to the chase and solve the problem. Yes, we do. Because we can see it, right? Even if you can see it, because some of you ladies are extremely smart, it doesn't satisfy the emotions of walking, feeling heard, feeling significant, feeling seen as you walk through to the process. Even if it's obvious the problem is solved, it's like, is that why you talk at me like that? You treating me like, there's an emotional satisfaction that doesn't come from just drawing a straight line from A to B, right? So that becomes friction. That becomes a very, very tough thing for men. Most men are not set up to know this until they fall on their face, and then if they have grace, they can stand back up and fix it. But oftentimes they can create bad damages. Maybe they say the wrong thing. Maybe they say the wrong thing that you're holding on to that you can't even forgive for, right? All in the spirit of that moment when they feel like they were confused as well, you know. So it's a very, very tricky thing, and what he just described sounds extremely on point. Okay.
Oh, beauty.
I think at this point she actually started doing the travel thing with her mom. And so, you know, I helped what I could with that. But
She started a travel thing with her mom. As a man, you're like, oh, here's a quick way I can fix this. Especially you got the money, you got the resources. So you threw money at that, right? Just throw money at that. Sorry. Doesn't work.
Travel things, a travel agency?
Yeah, travel agency.
Okay.
Her mom and her had their own business, what have you. So yeah, that was our clash. And I'm like, I don't think this is helpful, and I don't think this is sustainable because I'm not with this. I'm gonna pay for everything and but then still get up in the morning, get the kids or whatever. I want to spend time with my children, but not take on responsibilities because at the end of the day, we still got work to do.
Not take on responsibility. This is something I learned from Pastor K. They put it into proper words. Quality time or quantity of time, right? Quality time is really all that matters, right? In my opinion. Well, not exactly all, but that should be the focus, right? Because at some point, quality will tell on quantity or vice versa in terms of kids. But he just said something. We still have responsibility. I got to go to work, right? I got to go to work. Sometimes it looks like I'm still hanging around the house for 2 hours. I'm not yet gone to work, so I should be able to help. Ladies, that's not how it works. That 2 hours is part of it. Even if I'm just sitting down on the couch and just staring at the TV. Sometimes, remember, emotions no be your mate. Sometimes I needed that 2 hours for me to think straight in the next 2 hours after that. For me to, I'm actually processing things. There's actually no rest time. Oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes. Some people can help more. Some people, the bandwidth is literally not there, right? But you're looking at what's happening on the surface and you're like, since I can see, but you were doing nothing, like, who go tell her by ye? Was that really nothing I was doing? Right? Now that's extremely frustrating. Right? Extremely frustrating. So she was asking like, oh, you gotta spend more quality time, you gotta spend we gotta do that, because she's probably disconnected from what it takes to run the business. All right? Let's even assume the only thing he had, because he says he has other businesses, was the content. Content marketing it's not a full-time job. It's damn near a lifetime job. Nobody's measuring time. It's taking everything, brain power, all of that, not just time, all of the above, right? And if that's how they were taking care of their family, she might not be able to comprehend what he's talking about in terms of, I have responsibilities. No, but you could help me with the baby. Still like, what's that? So even to solve this problem, it comes down to one thing: patience. Infinite patience. All of that's impossible. How can you have infinite patience? If I tell you to have it for yourself, would you agree with me? It's for you. Soft life for you too, right? You deserve it too. Like, it's not everything you can explain in words. It's not everything you can explain in words, right? So sometimes it's you put her on some kind of process. Okay, this is how we're gonna do it, and she's still complaining about it, and you're getting frustrated because you don't have patience with yourself. The complaining, the grumbling about it is all part of the process. It's a process. She's gonna get to a junction and she's gonna appreciate everything she's done in the past. I just did it with my mom. So she's doing the business. A few weeks she was complaining. I was getting frustrated because I'm like, don't complain. 3 weeks time you're gonna feel better. But I had to learn that no, I had to let her go through that. Then 3 weeks she started appreciating the process, right? You have to be patient with yourself. It goes back to infinite patience. Infinite patience doesn't mean you just sit down there and just accept nonsense. That's not what it means. It means you understand that you're in the middle of a process. That's what it means.
So I forget where we was at with, but that was her list of homework included some things that we didn't necessarily agree on. But I didn't need her to tell me to get closer. I was trying to pursue God at this point for myself. And I think it helped that she saw a lot of that initiative on my own. Because one of the pastors that she watches on TV, and then I ended up popping up.
That's what she said. She said she was watching YouTube or watching something. You popped up down there at the altar in the service or something.
Yeah, I didn't leave him alone. Because
she said you was like, I'm finna start following this minister around. That's what you started doing?
Something to that degree. We developed a rapport. So she didn't mention, I didn't watch the whole thing, but so I could be wrong, but there was a space before we separated where she got really infatuated with demons. And she didn't just say I needed deliverance either. She said, the Lord God is taking over my vessel. You're going to die, go broke, and all these other things.
She said, you are?
Yes. Now later on, she said, well, I was speaking to the demonic spirit. Yes. And this is an interesting dynamic for anybody with their spouse to talk about you speaking to. So anyway, I started looking into it.
He said interesting dynamics. Is that, are you whining Jesus?
You doing what?
No, it's not just an interesting dynamic. The only way this would make sense is both of you simultaneously are following that demonic stuff. That's the only way it makes sense. If it's one person doing that, that's an extremely stressful dynamic on any couple.
And I realized, oh no, demonic influence is very real.
Right.
But I don't know nothing about it. I grew up in a very traditional church. We ain't talk too much about that. You know, we understand we don't.
He says demonic influences are very real. There are two things I interpret from that. Either he means that, or he's just trying to still understand. There's no need to try to understand everything. First of all, in life, we will never understand everything. Release yourself. Just let go. Your wife wants to have some kind of new religious thing she believes in, or your husband. Listen, this is an opportunity to practice individuality. Let them do their thing. Let's go directly and indirectly. Just find it interesting. Tell me more. That pressure that you must believe in the same thing, you're looking for the answer, that it must be like, there's something that you have to rationalize it. It's no need. It's spiritual for a reason. That's their own thing. Let them do their own thing. But it sounds like he was confused himself, so he engaged it. So he became more even confused than he was before he came into it. But if you look at Denia very closely, helmet of salvation, that level of jumping on the internet and cursing all of the internet land and raining curses on them, clearly that's not what Derrick was trying to do.
Flesh, war against flesh, but of course the spirit and all this stuff. But this goes a different level, like demon spirits, the name of this demon, so on. And there was one pastor, she introduced me to him, that knew about this stuff. So I went and found him. And we also had some stuff where she wouldn't let me see the kids because my demon is making them.
She won't let him see the kids because demons are doing what?
So I went and found him. And we also had some stuff where she wouldn't let me see the kids because my demon is making them. And I'm like, so why is it everybody else got demons but you? And I would have these conversations.
Why is it that everybody got demons but you? Right? Listen, I pray that you won't end up in this. It's a very nasty place when you're mixing spirituality with emotional issues, and we're still here. We got to pay bills, and you're not paying bills. Oh, no, we are paying bills just because it sounds better. Ouch.
Stations like, why everybody else influenced but you? And then we had this fight now where I felt like she asserted herself as my spiritual authority or my superior. She's so pure and angelic and God's first cousin. But then me, I'm just Lucifer's baby boy. I'm getting clarity from this pastor because now I've watched enough of his stuff or whatever. I met him and he took to me. And he was able to tell me some stuff that validated that he was indeed a man of God and whatever. And he took to me and was like, I can see your heart or what have you. And I was like, look, I want to serve you any way I can. I want to be a part of the ministry or what have you. So that's what started when I ain't just follow.
So he was doing it because he wanted to satisfy the woman. It lacked purpose, right? He was engaging God because, that will make me get my family back. Because he's a lover boy. Deep inside, he's a lover boy. He was just no purpose, okay? He's a lucky guy. He stumbled into his calling a little bit because he's really good at this stuff that he does with teaching people, whatever. He's good at that. Speaking, internalizing and understanding the deeply rooted, sustainable way to do these things. He's lacking it, right? I'm not doing nothing for my woman unless it aligns with my main purpose, calling, life mission. She understands this. In fact, I encourage her on the same thing. But she also understands that she's my wife, my rib. She also understands that. She understands the idea of a helpmeet. She understands, yes, damn near religious. But as in reality, how it plays out, right? She's not trying to compete with me in that lane. She understands that all of that is for the greater good of all of us, right? But what was he doing? Like, let me engage this religious, demonic study thing to get my family back. But it's not something that he really wanted to do. We're going to find out more of the results of that in a second. It doesn't play out well.
When we was talking, he was kind of mentoring me. He became my spiritual father.
And so did anybody else confirm? Was there some deliverance service where maybe that pastor and a couple of other apostles or something linked around you and cast the demon out of him?
That's still all justification. I don't need no confirmation. If I don't already know, there's no demons. Outside of the demons that we already know that we're messing with right now. Just relationship turmoils, struggles and stuff like that. Outside of that, I don't need no confirmation. Oh, you tell me there's a demon. Like, I don't need no confirmation if I don't already have it. Okay? Because if I engage that, there's something in me there's something in me that's already aligning with that, and there's a good chance I'm going to attract more of it, right? It's messy because it's a rabbit hole, right? It's a rabbit hole. And I don't even know, honestly, I don't want to discourage or encourage anybody to each his own. But when you're talking spiritual stuff, there's no end to it. It's literally the imaginations is endless. There's no end to it. Anybody can say this and that. They can see blood on there, and they see blood in the corner of the room. You can't prove it. You can disprove it, right? And basically that can become a stronghold against your progress. The best thing is to individualize it, give people freedom, religion, freedom of spirituality, let them do their thing. Right? Did anybody confirm? Confirm what? I have to believe in it before I'm looking for confirmation. I don't even believe in. That's not my belief system. That's our thing, right? But I'm guessing that there's something in him that also there was a void. He was also seeking some kind of something was empty inside of him, and he was looking for that, and so he engaged it, right? But in the same token, he's trying to put his family together. That is a very difficult thing or dynamic to be trying to navigate.
They cast, like, I did go up there to the front and I got the deliverance and all this stuff, but it wasn't like necessarily what she was saying. It was when we all discussed it together, because now he's a friend of the marriage. He wants to help us. And when he was like, Danielle, you may be seeing some stuff, like a spirit wife or something like that.
Right.
Like, that's absolutely true.
Spirit wife, seeing some stuff. Spirit wife. Yeah.
Because he's out here smashing and dashing, whatever. Right. But some stuff.
For those of you that think it's only Nigerians that do spiritual stuff, yeah, right. You have no idea. You have no idea. Let's continue.
You have to be brought up and taught how to interpret it. So Danae was actually, I think anyway, very well meaning, because she wanted to protect her family. At one point in time, she was trying to protect me, praying over me. Before we separated, I had woke up one day and she had her hand on me and she was praying over me. So it was like sometimes it came from this pompous place of, throwing the book at me and judgmental and so on. But at times,
throwing book in judgmental, laying hands on people. There's a lot of people that walk around life thinking that that's always absolutely coming from a good place. Right? I think it's nice that your wife prays for you. I think it's a beautiful thing. Right? But where is it coming from? What else are we dealing with for you to start doing this? Right? How is that being received by me? Right? Because now it sounds like he's been receiving it as some kind of judgmental move, right? Oh, so me, he said, so he was the Lucifer's baby boy. Just think about how deep that is.
It came from a very nurturing and protective place. So he confirmed we both needed deliverance, and even because of her mom's involvement, that she needed deliverance right along with us in order for everything to come back together.
Are you looking to establish?
That's a lot of deep stuff. That's what I meant by demonic and rebellious. So what do you think happened after all of this?
What transpired for her to move back from, what was she in Denver? Where
she was living in Denver. Mm-hmm.
And what made her transition and say, okay, let's, reconnect with my husband and let's try to make this work and move back to Atlanta?
So that pastor had, this was after my birthday, and I've been wilding out and stuff. I'm like, it's over with. Honestly, I felt so empty, man. And I cut everything off before I even knew if I would have a chance with her. But at this point, I had started rebelling against God. Because I'm like, God,
July.
This was in July.
You rebel against God. Right? Resistance. When you force things, when you're manipulative, when you use controlling behavior, what that means is that it's not deeply rooted in value, as in value in the eyes of the beholder, as in value in the eyes of the receiver, not just the value you call value by yourself. If it's not deeply rooted in value, something they actually want, they can comprehend the value, not just only you by yourself comprehending the value. If it's not deeply rooted in value, right, it will create resistance, it will create rebellious, and it will be worse. Now you have additional problem. In addition to all the problems that was already there, that was never solved, now you have additional problem.
Everything off before I even knew if I would have a chance with her. But at this point, I had started rebelling against God, because I'm like, God,
July.
This was in July. February 4th, I gave my life to Christ.
Me, I could never comprehend the idea of rebelling against God. It doesn't make sense to me. If I'm rebelling against God, from me, my standpoint is like, did I even ever believe in God? It's probably a version of God that somebody sold me. So now that person disappointed me. Now I feel the need to rebel against God. You see some people run etasketa and say they are not atheists suddenly because they're asking so many questions like, who sold you something before? Somebody must have sold you something before that you bought so badly into. So now you're rebelling against that thing. Right? So naturally you're rebelling. because you're a human being like the rest of us. But if you just calm down, drink some water, and get to know God yourself, right? Get to know God yourself. Get to have your own understanding of God, right? Nobody sold you nothing. There's nothing to be disappointed. There's no unrealistic expectations anywhere. This is your own understanding. So there's no disappointment. Disappointments are literally only possible when there was unrealistic expectations.
In the truck, and it's like, all right, tomorrow. It was for different reasons. I didn't want to go back home before that, but I was like, tomorrow I'm coming back home, and we're gonna make this work. We're gonna thug this out the God way.
Yeah. And
that's whenever I came back to she was gone. I was like, the day after I gave my life to Christ, things started going here, and I blamed him. I went through some rebellion all over again, man. Screw this, F it. So anyway, that was the end of July. I was like empty. I'm like, man, I done rented out yachts. I done did all this money spending and these random
money, renting out yachts, spending money, trying to get his wife back, and never doing any work on himself. You notice that there's no work on himself outside of what's on the surface. Deliverance, that's not work on yourself. Deliverance is not work on yourself. Deliverance is performative in nature for the most part. My personal opinion, it's a waste. It's just theatrics. Okay, you don't believe me? Go and watch any of these churches. Why is it that the camera is running after them every time there's some sort of anything that look like deliverance? What does it mean that look like deliverance? Does that have to happen where everybody's watching and there's camera watching and it's on national TV? Can that happen in your bedroom, all in your own corner, when you pray to God and you pray for deliverance for God? What do most people think deliverance is? It's the one that the camera is following around in the front of an auditorium with 100,000 people watching. Did you realize that?
Them girls I'm kicking it with, I don't even know them or like them. Just being real, like I don't even like you, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, going somewhere, man. And before she said anything, I again burnt the bridge. I'm so off and on. But August comes around, I think it was August, and my spiritual father was going to have another event. I had stopped kind of being around her for a little bit while I was in that stage. I was like, I need to go over there.
So that stage was just the month of July?
I would say June into July.
Okay,
yeah,
so February, she leaves February, right? February, you give your life to Christ. The next day she leaves, you start trying to get your feet in Christ. You find that once you connect with the spiritual.
I went head first into it, man. I made friends with pastors. Willie Moore Jr. I reached out to him as a man of God, and I was like, man, what group are you a part of where y'all stay on the straight and narrow?
Yeah.
And they didn't know anything about any of this.
So he assumed that some type of man was staying on a straight narrow. Unrealistic expectations, there's no such persons that stay on a straight narrow. It doesn't exist. Unrealistic expectations, these are the results right here. That pedestal you put yourself on, you will fall off from it. Okay? Because it's not sustainable.
I was pursuing this. I'm like, I don't want to.
So I started reaching out to some friends to see if they can put him on the same straight narrow.
Don't want to mess this up again, So anyway, what was the question again?
So you started working towards that. And then July, you said what?
Because we were discussing my birthday, and she was like, I'm not seeing you for your birthday. And I was like, abandonment still hurt. I ain't healed nothing to do with abandonment at this point. So I was like, my birthday? I was like, can I at least see my babies? You know what I'm saying? Can I do that? Well, I'm taking them to a church event. I was so beside myself. So anyway, we definitely knew the relationship is over. We got a child custody agreement in place, all this stuff. I had my rendezvous. Then after that, cut everything off. My spiritual father was gonna have an event. She happened to be at the event.
Oh, really?
This was actually down here in Dallas. He was gonna have it at the Marriott. He was gonna have like a 3-day event or something like that. I was like, I want another chance with my family, but I don't know. It's just too much. But I brought a picture to put it on the altar and pray and everything else. Her mama came with her and brought the kids. And we had not at this point talked in like 2 weeks.
So the first time you seen your wife at church with your kids?
In a minute. Yeah, no, we had seen each other throughout the summer, but this time.
No, I'm talking about, you said for 2 weeks.
It was a couple of weeks. We had discussed me seeing the children because I kept trying to just keep some closeness with them. I went up to Denver to see them, and from that point, she ghosted me. She stopped answering. I was up in Denver for like 5 or 6 days. She wouldn't answer or nothing like that.
Do you know what that feels like? Getting ghosted by your wife? Do you have an idea what that feels like? Not just your wife, your children. What does that look like when you're running a business? See, if you had to show up to the job on Monday morning, a lot of times that's actually easier because that's just routine. You're just following the routine. But if you're running a business and you're a creative and you have to still show up on a Monday morning, because that's the reality, do you think you would show up if you got ghosted by a partner, your wife, with your children?
And like a week and a half later, we was at the church at the same time.
And you looking up like, wow, there go my wife and kids.
I broke down, really seeing the kids, because I was like, at this point, I'm wanting another chance, but I'm also understanding. And she's kind of beat me up at this point, so I'm like, whatever on that to a degree, but I really, really miss my babies. So they ran into my knees, and I'm like, man, like, maybe. So he had the sermon. Afterwards, he offered to see families that were trying to restore, and that's whenever we had the session. Her mom came in and sat right down with her as we had our family session. And at some point, the pastor said, why is mom here?
And then, so they came visit. You weren't living in the DFW Metroplex at this time?
No, neither one of us were. But basically, that was the point where we said we're going to try again. That's in that conversation.
Did her mom co-sign on that at the time?
She just kept listening and nodding along and stuff like that. So I don't know the conversation with her mom, but I guess she did. I don't know.
And then y'all decided to let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
And decide to what? Move to Dallas?
First month is I'm gonna spend up there because she wasn't ready to part from her mom yet. So I got another Airbnb for 30 days.
Dang.
And then we moved down to Dallas together. And we moved to another Airbnb while we found a place. And we started the restoration. And this is where, honestly, for the whole thing, this was like one of the most beautiful things that was happening. I could tell some distance happened with her and her mom because I could always tell whenever she was close. She would come in, I'm talking about, she get a call, come back, and she hates me. Now it's some distance. Now we're starting to reconcile. Now we're talking. We're still going through with therapy. We crying, we expressing, we forgiving.
Well, it's not exactly distance. If she's feeling safe with you, there's only so much time and energy and, to give anything else, right? It's not exactly distance, right? So again, it's measuring. It must be the mother who is in between us. No, it's just the natural order of things. If she's spending time and she's feeling safer with you and she's gravitating in the direction of restoration, yes, I guess there'll be some kind of a physical distance because there's only so much time and energy. The point I'm trying to make here is there's no need to bring in the mother. You're giving the mother too much credit. It's no wonder that she has that much power on your marriage, because now the more you spend time on that, the more you're going to push her away. And guess what the next safest place for her to run to? Mother!
On both ends, because everybody know about my sins, but there was some stuff she, you know what I'm saying? So the kids
just talk about sins on two ends, on both ends. Everybody knows about my sin, but there's no need for you to compete. You're a king. Listen, granted, easier said than done, but there's no need. Not even at the remote test lowest level, there's no need to bring in, oh yeah, she did hers too. We can tell. We know. Okay? Right? In fact, that's where there's no need for this type of shalai in the first place.
And she hates me. Now it's some distance. Now we're starting to reconcile. Now we're talking. We're still going through with therapy. We crying, we expressing, we forgiving on both ends. Because everybody know about my sins, but there's some stuff she, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so the kids are seeing it, and this is when I wrote a book, Healed Together While Hurting Each Other, but I wrote it based on all the things we were doing. We had a schedule now. So we went through that process. This is toward the end of 2020, I think. Things ain't perfect, but we fighting for it. We in church together. We serving in church together. We praying most of the time together. We doing warfare, all of it. And then comes 2021.
What happened in 2021?
March of 2021. I think it was the 22nd or 23rd. No. Actually, a little bit before.
Why are you teaching? Oh, well, it's okay to write a book, but I probably wouldn't release that book for a while. But I don't know. Try not to judge too much here. Shout out to you, brother. Information show, man show. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. Thank you. Much respect to you. I appreciate you. Yeah, why are you writing a book in the middle of the stuff? Journal, yes. Journaling, yes. Writing a book, I guess it's okay. Documenting what's going on. But generally speaking, I just wouldn't be trying to teach if I'm in the middle of that kind of funk. It has to be tough. Right? It has to be tough.
For a month prior, my auntie passed. It was my mama's only sister. And that was really tough for me because she was always the one that was most proud of me outside of my mom. And 2 weeks later, my dad passed. My stepdad passed. And so we went to, at this point, man, I don't take losses well, death or nothing. So I'm messed up. And as we were preparing to go there, maybe a week prior, we found out we were pregnant with our third baby. We couldn't even enjoy that because it's so much compounded grief. And she's just like, I got you. I'm here for you, etc. So we go to my dad's wake. And like that evening, there's a girl from the separation time, my birthday time, that's doing an interview. And I'm like, I ain't got time for this. I'm just like, man, I ain't got time for this. I done got beat up fighting for this family. I done got beat up in grief. I done got, the financial piece because I had to work to eat. So
that's when the rumor came out that he had been cheating, basically. All those people that he was burning bridges with, they were like, we got receipts. Oh, you burnt the bridge, huh? Oh, you want to go back to your wife, huh? Okay. Show him shiggy.
I kept payroll and I never kept making money. Because at this point, I'm just all family, all Christian walk. So now my finances are starting to look a little funny. And then this. So that night, we kind of put it away. My dad's, my phone is blowing up. I had to put on airplane mode, all this stuff. And I'm like, I got to face them. I got to face them.
Who was the them?
Them being the people that supported me, the public. Because, you know, of course, I didn't talk about this and and here it is.
He's talking about the part where he decided to respond to the public right now after he got caught with all the receipts through Cashapp, right? So that's what he's talking about, right?
I knew at some point I would talk about it, but I didn't plan to talk about it until our family was stronger. You know?
I would say that's pretty darn impressive that out of all the dirt you did, it took that long for somebody to say something.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with, this may have been the first time I cut people off the way she wanted me to cut them off, as opposed to...
I cut people off the way she wanted me to cut them off. That never works, right? The pressure is probably there, right? But yeah, if you're moving from a place of fear, it always backfire like that. Because you really, I don't know. I cut people off the way she wanted. So you use that aggression. That's desperate. You were so desperate to fix issues. You just started burning bridges. So these people were probably angry, right? And decided to throw you right under the bus with the whole family. Anyway, I thought that was a bad idea. Dude, I cut them off the way I wanted to cut them off. If it was that deep and you're still repeating that as your reasons for doing that, you probably should learn something for that. Stop doing things the way you want her to do it. Do it because there's a real purpose behind it. Do it, there's a deeply rooted purpose behind it if that's what you decide to do. Sometimes that will mean you take your time. Sometimes that will mean, what if I lose her before I do it? Well, what if you lose her? Because what ended up happening anyway, right? That's a question that goes back to you. You need to answer that. What if you lose her just because you decided not to move with fear? Right? Just because you decide to move like a man, you take the time to understand your next move because it's already funky and messy. Take your time to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Don't throw apologies out anyhow. Don't respond to people that just want you to say something so you can speak your truth right now. No, it's not necessary most of the time. Right? Take your time. Sometimes you might actually need to say something, but you'd have taken the time to process it. Take the time to put a decent statement together. In this kind of situation, 500,000 plus strong monitoring spirit is a statement. Written, not said, not read on a video, okay? You're not Obama, you're not Barack Obama. Statement, okay? A few sentences. Please respect, end it with please respect our privacy while we're going through this, right? The most powerful people in the world, this is what they do. But when people get too premature success, sometimes they just don't know what, too much given much is, they think it's just about doing the right thing. Let me just do the right thing, everything will go away. No, that is not true. For many reasons. First of all, you don't know what the right thing is. You don't know what you're dealing with, right? And you don't know yourself in that moment. If you find yourself in this kind of crisis, you calm down first. Go and drink water, take a shower, sleep over it, talk to a friend, engage wise counsel first. I don't care how good you think you are as a counselor, as a therapist. You've mastered all the books of therapy in the world. If you are the subject, if this is involving your personal story, you're not your own wise counsel. You're just not. It's a massive blind spot.
It's a really friendly.
That's what she also said. She said, cut them off and get a new phone. That was the other
not only, yeah, it was get a new phone, get a new place. A whole lot of
get a new phone. You have a business you're running. Get a new phone. Get a new place. Like, come on, man. If she can't trust me enough to sort this mess out the way I'm gonna sort it out as a man, it's just better that we go our separate ways. Now, not 2 years later. And gentlemen, if you do that, you increase your chances of actually getting her to trust you again. That's your best bet. If you're just following in line and just doing what she says you should do, exactly the way she says you should do it, subconsciously she's questioning it. She's questioning, like, you're not even a man of your own. Like, you have no core, you have no back. Like, there's no bones. It's just you're soft. I see this example all the time. People don't respect if you don't have your own core, your own they don't respect it. They might disagree with you, but they will respect that. That's always true. It's not just men and women, okay? if you're just moving according to how we say you should do, it's like we can't trust you when it comes to an actual relationship, right? The reason why I'm attracted to you and decided to engage a relationship with you in the first place was because there was something about you that is foreign to me that I've never seen before. It attracted me. It wasn't because you were exactly like me. People will say that sometimes, but that's cap.
So Old City, yeah.
You know, $60,000-$70,000 worth of furniture, sculptures, paintings, clothes.
You talking about do what? Get rid of it?
Throw it away.
I wish I knew you.
Don't sell it, don't give it away.
I wish I knew you.
But
what you talking about? You just throw it away. I know you gave it to some people.
It was one or two things I gave away.
That's iwakpa. That's destructive behavior. I know you can't blame her for that. You're supposed to be a man and be able to make your own decisions. Okay? And it's okay that you fell in that. But in the future, as you move forward, it doesn't mean you won't make the same move, but you want to make sure that it aligns with what you believe yourself, not just because she's making you do it.
Away, because when my family found out I was going to throw away all this expensive stuff and sculptures and stuff, they was like, no, I'm coming up there. But most of it, no, I literally had to show her I was cutting through my custom paintings.
Some of the spiritual stuff.
She had been hitting me with all of that stuff, but I was
and you really tore that stuff up?
I did.
You took your clothes and everything?
It was a show of good faith, because even though I didn't agree with her, but I was like, you've seen enough actions of me trying to do it my way, and it ended us up in this situation. Last thing I'm gonna do is still assert myself as the authority on how this needs to make you comfortable. So she's saying it's triggering her. I was like, I'll give it up.
So your family came and got something?
Some of my family came up there. It was like, nope, we taking this, we taking that. This was actually in the separation, so she wasn't there. And they was like, nope, they found out some all this stuff, TVs and everything. Man, so we fast forward to 2020, like again, compounded grief. And then I'm like, I want to face them. At first, she was really, really pissed, but supportive still. She was like, we knew this was gonna come. I'm 10 toes. You know what I'm saying? I got you, da-da-da. And then we come
So hold on, so I get that you really want your marriage to work then, huh?
Man.
I never would think that, and that's why I said you gotta wait, can't pass judgment on people. I literally assumed that you were stuck in a marriage, you were getting along just to get along, but your heart was really wanting to be in these streets and smash up.
No. I never thought that. It's only lame people that thought that. I never thought that he wasn't a lover boy, that he wanted to. I thought he wanted to have his cake and eat it too, that part. But I thought he wanted to make his marriage work. I think it was obvious to me once I saw like, oh, he got married and he was showing, it was obvious to me that he was moving kind of sporadic and wasn't thinking it through, So it makes sense that he wanted to make his marriage work. That has nothing to do with he had some past, he had bad behaviors, he would rebel to the extreme, and then he will come back and try to fix it, and then he will rebel to the extreme, and then that's what made sense to me, right? That's what made sense to me, because he was engaged in this kind of conversations too much to not care, But again, caring and actually having the skills to create good results are two different things. Especially gentlemen, caring and actually having the skills, game, right, at an application level to actually create the best optimal results for yourself. Those are two different things. It's not enough to care, right? So that's why I never questioned that he cared, right? If anything, it looks like somebody who just do a lot of talking, but when it comes to real life application, it ends up in the
all these women.
No.
You're saying that what I'm getting from you ain't even saying this, but what I'm getting from you is that no, I really want the marriage to work. It just so happened that I was doing this stuff behind the scenes when I felt neglected and felt this type of stuff. You really want to be married?
Absolutely. I wanted my family. I wanted to be married, but I wanted us to stay cohesive. That was the biggest thing on my mind. Stay in the house.
Answer this real quick. So be married or want your family? Meaning, would it be okay to have this perfect hybrid of a relationship? Hey, Danae.
It's everything you wish for.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
site traffic is...
Nope, I don't think he wanted that. I think he wanted...
Can you be okay with that? I'm gonna give you this soft life, give you this wonderful life you live in. I love my family. I'm gonna be here for my kids. Hey, I love them. I got 3 kids now.
But I need a side chick.
Just let me go out here and smash some people time to time. Would that be the perfect world for you?
No, that'd be hell.
Wow.
Because it was hell when I was doing it behind her back. I wasn't happy. I was coping. She actually offered up for me to
That
be
makes
with other
sense.
women. And I think this may have been after she saw something on my phone but hadn't told me, but she said, what if I just allow you to have other women? And I was like, I thought it was an opportunity to talk. I'm like, no, I don't want other women. I want...
Maintaining side chicks and having side situations and all this kind of stuff consumes too much energy for somebody to be doing it when it's not really who they are, right? It just doesn't make any sense.
Things will work between us. And even as I'm looking back at it, really, bro, it still shouldn't have come to that because I was reacting. We're not doing good, whatever. Instead of being accountable to the principles of the marriage, my vows, I was accountable to how I felt. And that was, again, a part of this long pattern of I'll be good so long as I feel good about you and how we doing. But the moment I don't feel good, screw it.
So you tell me a perfect situation for you, getting remarried again, is a woman that says, I believe a man, because I've had women come to me before. Women have come to me over the last couple of years, and when I've spoken about infidelity in the past, I have women come to me and be like, because it's not normal for a man to be faithful. So let me tell you something, Terrence, if you choose me as your wife, you can go smash women on the side. It don't matter. That don't bother me. As long as you're taking care of the household, as long as you don't let that mess come to my doorstep, I'm cool with it. But the reason why I personally can't do that is because I think you're speaking to I know you're speaking to the lowest version of me. Mm-hmm. That because of my faith and my relationship with Christ, I can't operate like that. But then a lot of times men will say, well, look at the men in the Bible or whatever. I understand that. We're not in that time.
No, most of them that are talking like that, they have to justify their lane. If somebody is a person who likes to have multiple quickus from time to time, they are exactly that. You see how they move, you could tell. If somebody is doing it behind their back, and they're often very messy, even with hiding it, they don't even know how to hide it properly. So again, majority of people talking too much about this kind of things, they are just doing exactly that. They're talking too much. They can't practice it. It takes a lot of energy to have side situation. If you have to go to work, you have to take care of family, you have to, unless you have enough money to buy bad behavior, which some do, then it's not really feasible for a lot of people, unless it's a situation where they fell in love with one person and they are engaged actively. That person is taking care of them emotionally speaking, but that's clearly not who he was either, you know. And then women will say, oh yeah, as long as you don't bring it to my front door. Yeah, that's usually cap too.
Stop the cap.
They don't. A typical woman don't want to share. That's not how it works. Okay, why? Because it's more emotions. Nobody wants to share. Jesus Christ, right? That doesn't mean people don't participate in bad behavior if the options present itself, right? But to just walk around town and be looking for, like, no, that's like he said. He wasn't happy. He was coping. You know.
You know, I know they had multiple wives. They had all this type of stuff. That's when people argue polyamory and polygamous. But I was like, that's not me. I know, like you're about to say, what you touched on, what that did to my soul. It grieves my soul. So my question to you is, why couldn't you just do that with your next wife if you decide to get married again?
He doesn't.
The variety of vagina never pulled me.
Like
it wasn't like
guys.
it was more so physical. It was emotional. I was soothing whenever I slept around. I had went basically like this. Okay, so when the times where I was faithful, like I might spend 6 months here, 8 months here, whatever, 3 months. When I was happy, I curved girls that most guys would do anything to get next to. But it was when I was unhappy for an extended amount of time, I would at least open the door to have conversations and start there, and then it would go all the way.
Yeah, that's starting to sound like an excuse now. Oh Lord. When I was happy, I would curve, but when I wasn't happy at home, yeah, that's what happens when you talk to me. Even me, myself, I talk too much on this stuff right now. I'll say the wrong things. When I was happy, when I wasn't happy, I was gonna get right back. Yeah, but I agree with what he said, that multiples of vagina is not what is it. Okay, and that's true for most men. Most men can't even get the one vagina that they need. Okay, so what are we talking about here, right? Most of them can't even get the one properly, right? So again, I don't know, you know. Let me see. I will rewind that in a second. Brother Patrick Sokwe, he wants his marriage to work, but he lacks the wisdom to sustain the marriage. Yeah, he didn't have it. Yep, definitely didn't have it. You know, yeah, that was cap. Absolutely. I think I was talking about people that want to share as long as you don't bring it to my door. That's nonsense. I hear people say that sometimes. Ideal on paper, yes, it sounds good, sweet. See, to be a perfect world, you do your thing, I'm happy at home, you pay for the Birkins bag and Range Rover, and everybody's happy. You're right. Once that Birkins bag is there every day, it doesn't have the same effect anymore. Okay, it's useless now at that point in time. Who is he? Is this him? Abi he still go hog or become transformer? I have no idea. He's the same guy. It's just the internet has been running their own rhetoric as usual.
Way there. A perfect world for me. I had went basically like this. Okay, so when the times where I was faithful, like I might spend 6 months here, 8 months here, whatever, 3 months. When I was happy, I curved girls that most guys would do anything to get next to. But it was when I was unhappy for an extended amount of time, I would at least open the door to have conversations and start there. And then
it would at least open the door to at least start there. So he entertained conversations and stuff. And as you know, this thing don't be your mate. People can fall on Bola by mistake anytime.
We'll go all the way there. A perfect world for me, man, because I
especially if they have a separate condo in downtown where they have chosen not to come home sometimes, especially if they actually run their own business, and they control their own time. When you know the I do mind. What do they say about the I do mind, right? Yeah, but it's not I do mind. I'm actually a business owner. No. Stop the cap. Okay. The I do mind is what?
Stop the cap.
The devil's playground, right? That's true for all of us, right? That's why I tell people, like, that righteousness stuff. What the scripture says about not leaning on your own understanding, Brother Patrick can help me out. You surround yourself with people with bad behavior. Yeah, you will participate in bad behavior. It's just the way it works. Yeah, it's just the way it works. This is not just a Derrick Jaxn thing. It's all of us. So you want to set yourself up to win by making sure that you are busy with your life mission and your purpose. That means that purpose, well, is all it takes, honestly. But it needs to be purpose, not just I just do it just because. Because of what? I don't know. Just because. I don't know. If you're doing that, yes, the devil will come and play with you when the time is right. Let's continue.
I don't mind the same vagina over and over again. When I'm in love, it feels new to me every single time.
It feels new to me. I can if I'm in love, if I'm having a good time, even better if there's purpose, right? If there's purpose. If we're moving in wisdom, if we're moving in alignment, right? It feels new all the time. Feelings, but it's not really new. Dumb, because the only thing that matters in life that people only care about is feelings. They don't care about anything outside of their feelings. Every human being. So if it feels new all the time, guess what? That's just as good as new. I can't tell you how many times people say, oh yeah, but you've been married for a while. You just keep getting you just keep getting the same, and you're like, dude, you don't even get any. You go straight 3-4 months, you don't get none. And you have the audacity to talk to me. I beg, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's talk about the real issue here. Okay? How do you even have the time to have this conversation with me right now? Because right now I'm about to hang up this phone and go smash upstairs. The same one? Yeah, it feels new all the time.
I was fine physically, and I mean, this is why we stay connected in that way. There wasn't a complaint there, right? And I want to be respectful to her as a woman because she's not my person anymore, and I'm somebody else's wife eventually. But that wasn't my complaint. My complaint was how cold it felt, and honestly, I used to say it. I felt more lonely and single than when I was single. In the relationship, just that rejection, that was just the way that she coped and did her own thing. But that was the part I really wanted. In a perfect world, I didn't feel that. Now, in a realistic world, as a man, I should have had better coping strategies as opposed to coping with women or anything that was going to compromise my vows. I should have been equipped and prepared more to deal with that or to leave if I was just so unhappy.
Nice talking. You should have had better coping strategies, because in life, as men especially, we have to cope a lot. Why? Because it's a greater good, it's a greater reward when you're gonna have moments where you need to cope. It's not the easiest thing to do to get through that moment. The challenges, it's called challenges, it's called going through the pressure, right? To become that diamond, to become that ideal man that everybody's mouth water about, right? This is real, right? That you may a millionaire, or you will be Kerewan, your driver. See, DJ screwed up. He lacks games. Right. It's real. Proverbs 13, James version 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not on thine own understanding. Exactly.
I didn't take that responsibility.
How are you reconciling that, being the voice for caring for a woman's heart, but then privately destroying the woman you had at home?
Resentment. That was the denial I needed. It was like you do anything and feel like you're right in doing it if you feel hurt enough, pissed off enough, disrespected, or taken for granted enough.
Pissed off enough, taken for granted enough. Every single one of you will participate in bad behavior. No, you're right. Only when the options are there. Somebody said, "Boy, yeah, but I'm good." No. Even the pastors, even the lay leaders, right? If the options present themselves, the devil will come. right? Right? You create the time for it. Options were there, right? People act like people just run out into the street and start looking for options. What's the next thing to sleep? What's the next thing? That's not how that works. Okay, that's not how that works. All right. And just because there are multiple people sliding in women's DM doesn't mean those are options. Stop talking like a lame reader. Okay, everybody, she doesn't want to smash everything that's sliding into her DMs. Okay, we're talking about the ones that she can say, oh, I don't mind that, smash that. I don't mind that, smash that. Just because you will smash everything that comes to your DM doesn't mean women feel the same way. Let's get it together.
These are a lot of the things that I was saying to her, like, man, you taking me for granted. Ain't nothing to do with nothing physical or superficial. It's like how much I'm sacrificing for you, da-da-da-da. But one thing I didn't understand, man, is she wasn't experiencing that. It was like, it's kind of like if you ever been down on yourself, like, man, life is so bad because you got into it with whoever. But then you got to really think like, no, man, my kids is good. My roof is over my head. I got blood in I'm alive. So it's like objectively some things are true, but you're not experiencing it based on what you done focused on.
Right.
And what I didn't learn until way later was that she never experienced all of these things that was on my mind that I was personalizing that she didn't appreciate.
Right.
So in a perfect world, man, like it's just one woman. That's what I want. And the last couple of years of the marriage, that's what I stuck to, no matter how I felt. And I know and apparently the world feels differently. So you saying, right? When you say the last years, we'll get to there. So you get this lady, she does this interview. What did she say in this interview? I didn't watch that interview either.
How could you not watch a video of somebody talking about you and everybody?
I was broke down, brother. I was at my limit. I had just lost two very important people in my life. I already had jacked up my family. We were trying to get it back together. I got a baby on the way. The finances is tricky because I can't even work consistently.
Because remember, before that story, he had lost his family. She moved away for a year. They were separated. That's a lot as compared to interview. Because remember, the person on the interview is somebody she's already smashed. The person decided he wanted to leak information. It's like he probably didn't think it was gonna be. He probably didn't think the story was gonna be this big. Like whatever, this is gonna go away. And then he lost two people in his family. I believe him on this. You know.
At that time, like she was still healing a lot.
See, everyone is more concerned about he's just he's a cheater. He said this, all the wrong things he did that we clearly know is wrong, right? But all the nuances of how this transpired and how this will happen, all these nuances will happen in every single one of us relationships. Is what I'm concerned about. When you're presented with this kind of situations, would you even know how to react, right? If you are presented with as a woman where you don't feel fulfilled, do you even know how to engage proper help, right? Because the truth is that you're here for a purpose. You need someone to help you find that purpose, right? The truth is that if you're married to a man who loves you, they don't sell that on the streets random willy-nilly. Doesn't mean it's not a bad situation, don't get me wrong, right? The reality is that if you're presented with a woman like Denia, who is confused and lost herself and she has all this trauma from childhood, you want to run away from that because, hey, you need to create your own happiness. Is that the reality? That's not going to be the reality. The reality will be you're in a funk together with two kids, right? And oftentimes you'll find yourself in confusion. Oftentimes you might need to cope with bad behavior, especially if the options are there, right? Would you know how to set yourself up to win overall? Would you know how to set yourself up so you don't self-destruct, self-sabotage, right? Because at the end of the day right now, he lost his family now. That's not necessarily, he filed for the divorce, but it's not necessarily what he wants or wanted, right? But again, there's only so much one person can take. That's true. How much can this person take is different from what this person can take. Where's Chidima? Chidima is always asking me, what happened to women always initiating divorce? It's a good moment to ask that question. There's only so much one person can take, right? And it's okay to back off. That doesn't have to be a permanent decision either. But if he has to be a permanent decision, it's okay too, right? But all this stuff he's been describing so far, it's not about is he a liar or did he lie? It's not about that. It's about these things sound real. It happens to majority of marriages. People are confused. People have business. You have businesses that you're running. You can't think straight. So money is looking funny now, right? Because you're just one person. You're running a one-man show. This is not Apple or Google, right? where you could just, it's not like a bunch of boards. It's just still a small business, right? So with your absence, nothing works right. So would you be able to handle that if it happens to you on either side? If you happen to end up with a husband that you have traumatic experiences, but also with him, you've seen him in his worst, watching videos of him sleeping with people, right? Would you just come to the table and say, yes, but we weren't really together, but I saw it? Are you able to be that objective? Chances are no. Chances are you're going to get caught up in your feelings like the rest of us. You're going to see it how you see it. Are you going to engage the prophets or professionals, right? It's difficult, right? I'm just trying to shed light on what this looks like in real life. For most of you in real life, it won't end up like Derrick Jaxn, the whole world is dragging us, or he's the simp, he was simping for women. No, but you will go through a good amount of what he just described in this 3 hours of interview, almost 3 hours of interview. You will go through something like that in one shape, form, or the other. Are you going to be able to handle it? Are you going to remember Derrick Jaxn, or you're going to be like, no, that would never be me because I would never simp to women? You sound very lame if that's what you said. Okay, just so you know, just in case you didn't know,
So I had become the primary parent for the elder children. They went to the gym with me. I did get them up and brush their teeth and put them to bed and all these different things, taught them and resolve conflict. And so there's so much pressure on me just as a man. And then throughout that process, because I was the wrongdoer, all of my feelings were absolute. And now it was okay. Like, screw how you feel. Yeah. You hurt her. And so I felt, even more invisible. This goes back to the first counseling session we did, feeling invisible, to childhood. It's like, man, I'm repetitively feeling alone. So as we coming back, and I know they done did.
Men do feel alone. Let's get that together. Okay, gentlemen, this is not your excuse to be holding women accountable. But let me say this to the ladies. Men can feel alone. I don't want you to be disconnected from the idea that a man is supposed to just be a man and have no emotions. It's a lie. They're all lying. Oh, men are more logical and women are like... It's a lie. Okay, just because they talking emotions doesn't mean they're not emotional.
You doing what?
Men, in fact, when they express their emotions, it's actually much more dangerous because they've been bottling it for a while. But Pastor said, in all thy ways, a completion of that previous paragraph, right? Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all thy ways, acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. Ola, you just nailed it after 2 hours. Everyone comes with baggage into a marriage. If you don't get this, it's all over. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're so right. That's all I've been trying to say for 2 hours. That's correct. It's true. We all bring something, okay? And it's not all positive, okay? But if you decide you want to focus on the negative, it will expand.
I was like, I can't think straight. We get back, and I know I'm gonna face my audience instead of being further more cowardly than I already have been, because no matter what, I want to walk according to what I think is the right thing to do. I faced them that night, but I only talked to what I did in the separation. I didn't tell them I had cheated in the marriage as well. So I was like, again, I want to do this. I want to do this again. And I offered for her to have a voice if she wanted to. Part of our counseling was her having a voice. She wanted more of a voice.
She wanted to have a voice. All right. When you're with somebody who is a public figure, who is always talking, they have all this followership, that can be a real struggle. If you don't find your own purpose, if you don't find your own lane, you'll find yourself comparing yourself to somebody who is supposed to be on the same side with you, right? You will start questioning, maybe this is all wrong in the first place. You might not be able to put it into words exactly, but you'll feel alone oftentimes. Because seemingly that person is getting a lot of attention. They seem that they found their purpose, and you feel lost, and you feel like, I need to find myself. I need to find myself.
She said, yeah. And then that's when we did the video.
In the video, how do you feel about how she represented herself in that video? Well, because you remember, you're the face of this brand. To have her on there when now she's been attacked from the bonnet, which was something very intentional that I was when she came on the podcast. I said, Danae, listen, the last time, I understand how triggering these moments are. I said, so I'm gonna get a makeup artist, I'm gonna get somebody to make sure you look right. I don't want nobody criticizing you on my platform. Why didn't you give her that same level of care to make sure that when she represented herself, she was representing the best light?
Female executives, doctors, attorneys, and successful businesswomen listen.
We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there.
And felt like she needed makeup. I didn't
care to make sure that when she represented herself, she was representing the best light.
I didn't look at her and felt like she needed makeup.
I agree. Yeah, I married her because I want her. I like her. I love her. She's giving me these kids. I decided, right? But women are not necessarily aware that the way they see themselves is not necessarily how their husband sees them. They're also not aware that if he's cheated before, it's not necessarily a direct reflection of how he sees you. Oh, listen, that sounds like a terrible excuse, but it's actually the reality, right? That's not an excuse to go and cheat. I'm just letting you know what the reality is. Just because he cheated doesn't mean he thinks that other person is better than you. It also doesn't mean you have to stay, because there's no guarantee that a person can handle the memory of the fact that you cheated. You might decide you want to leave. I'm just spelling it out for you, right? In terms of emotions. So if she doesn't feel like she's adequate, feel like she's enough by herself, that's a lot for a man to carry. He can help. I guess that's what he's saying. But he needs to be actually helping something, right? When he stretches his hands, is there somebody to actually stretch so he can pull up, right? Or is that also going to become, well, I need my own thing? Is she comparing herself to boss ladies on Instagram that have their own thing going on? Because that's a whole lot of different thing right there. That's a lot of energy to match with.
I feel like that was the missing piece in her being presentable or beautiful. I still honestly, bro, I don't look at that video of what she had on and see anything wrong. The only thing I can see now from the outside is her body language, and I knew what that was because of, but people in real life didn't know. Both of us were shattered. I'm a bit more poised probably in front of the camera, and also I'm more functional. Like, even when I'm not okay, I look okay. But she was showing it,
right?
You know, but for different reasons.
She was pregnant at the time.
Pregnant.
No one knew she was pregnant at the time.
She was pregnant, and she was somewhat grieving because she knew of my stepdad as well.
That is real. My wife accuses me of the same thing all the time. Like, no, I can't go out like that. I was like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, no, I need to do that. I need to do that. Like, you know, I wanted to do some behind the scenes video and stuff like that. She won't let me. I actually think she's most beautiful when she doesn't have any of that stuff on. Right? These are the struggles. So I agree with him on that. He probably can't comprehend what they're talking about, that she had a helmet of salvation on. Right? Like, what are you talking about? That's a beret. I know, but it looks like a helmet of salvation. But what are you talking about? She looked good.
So we're both coming from some really heavy stuff on top of her being pregnant, on top of this being a season of attempted reconciliation. And so we show up, and that way I didn't really, again, it didn't stick out to me because this ain't my first time seeing her. Just, you know, again, I think she's beautiful. And I appreciate what you did and making sure that she was protected. But I know afterwards, when we thought about doing some more conversations, I was like, oh, let's get PR. So our body language ain't the same because I don't want them to talk about you. We did a podcast.
Let's get PR.
That's for a little bit. And I was like, I don't want them to talk about you. And I started looking at it from their lens. But at the time, man, I don't think she was thinking about herself. And me, I think I was so selfish in my own feelings. I wasn't thinking about her either.
How did you feel when the video dropped and people kept talking about her bonded, and they kept saying, I see why he cheated on her. I see why.
Bonnets.
And they started making the quote unquote victim.
Bonnets.
That's all we knew. We didn't know about what she was doing in a relationship. So now she's this victim, and now they're victim blaming. She's the reason why her man is unhappy. She's the reason why he's unfaithful, because look at how she presents herself. Of course he's going to want one of these baddies that you see on Instagram. How did you feel seeing that?
First, I don't even know where to start. I put her in that position. So as much as I was looking at it and not liking this and that, I was like, my decisions. It's another reminder that my decisions put her in this place. Secondly, I think I just felt helpless, because typically I'm the one that like stands for people who get crucified wrongly, and especially women, but really anybody. I stood for men too, but like in here, I'm obsolete because I'm the one that caused it. Thirdly, there is no connection to a woman's looks and a man's integrity. One way or the other. She can't look good enough to make me a no man faithful.
Teach.
And she can't look bad enough to make us step out.
Teach.
So just in terms of what they were saying,
there's no connection between a woman's look and a man's integrity. Come on, you guys love that. You have to love that. Come on. You have to love that. You know.
I was like, that's
where's Tima today?
Bullshit, like the most beautiful by society standards women have gotten cheated on.
Yep.
Because it's not about her looks or her makeup, it's about my character.
Thank you.
Or lack thereof. So again, it sucked not being able to say that and stand for that. And I was appreciative of those who did, because they were doing what I couldn't do. And so it was really like, I mean, the shame that was already there the guilt and all this other stuff, and then you add in the ripple effect of now family is getting involved. Her mother is, I mean, you talking about might as well moved in. It was so much that went on. I just like totally now I'm obsolete. I'm moving myself, and I'm fine with that because I need to make sure she's okay to healthily carry this baby because she's pregnant still. We still got to go to these doctor's appointments.
Yep.
She still got to keep an appetite. Me, I've been in the middle of scrutiny and I was fine with that. Like, man, talk about me. One, I deserve it. Two, I'm kind of used to it.
But used to it on that level though. Even on that, because people love Derrick Jaxn. There's a lot of men that didn't like you, but women love you. Look at your social media following. I mean, when did you ever have 1 million people following you? That's a lot of people that even when you
That's
even when the video came out, people.
That's a very small percentage of people that have 1 million people following them. That's a lot of energy to manage. Yes, also when they love you, the same ones that love you will be the one to cast you away if something goes left faster, because that level, the higher they put you, the higher the level of disappointment. Oh, you didn't know that. Oh, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. It's like the higher we put you, the less disappointed we are. No. It's the other way around.
Still, I would hear people say, I don't care what he did to his wife. I still find value in what he's saying because he helped me through this and he helped me through this and his video helped me get out this toxic relationship. So no matter how much the world crashed down on you by that, you still had, and I still say the overwhelming majority of people are women that still was advocating for you.
I feel a little differently, man. I think not only advocating for me, I think they were advocating for what I stood for and that it didn't just wash that away. What I've gotten from them anyway, because I had people that turned on me and I totally understand. But the people that in real life or even online, they were like, that doesn't take away from your truth. But for me, again, I had rumors go viral about me before. People just don't remember because I wasn't as big, but I've seen tens of thousands of people unfollow me before because they thought Danae was white and I didn't date black women. So I already...
Wait, ladies. A bunch of women start following him because they thought the wife was white.
Oh, beauty.
kind of knew, but I also think I just was too numb to that. Now, this is the first time that scrutiny is coming to somebody I love, somebody close to me because of me.
Right.
So that was my whole attention with it. This is a new experience for me in that regard, that she's not built like that.
Right.
You know, she ain't used to this and she wasn't supposed to ever have to get used to it. So what was going on in my mind is just the lowest feeling you could probably imagine. Even with trying to tune out social media and everything else, her coworkers, her mama, her whatever, had to see her relive this trauma. And people making talking points, because people kind of forget we both human.
Yeah.
You know, and they can forget I'm human, but I'm like, this girl that y'all go from protect black women to, ooh, look at her bonnet.
That point.
And music videos and stuff like, I mean, it's so insensitive. I'm wishing I could say something, but I'm still the cause of it all. So it's guilt, shame, helplessness, fury, anger. Some people that I thought were at least somewhat friends making jokes about it. And it gave me a perspective, man, that like on some level, my platform had probably done the same thing. You know, when I talked about people and, you know, especially holding them accountable, I always thought I did it with a level of ethics. And, you know, I'm not trying to be people.
That's what I didn't like about him when I first saw him. He was holding accountable. Like, it's like, who are you to hold people accountable? Like, you can hold people accountable. Like, there's a level you just sounding like you're holier than them. Like, you know, and we have a lot of men doing that today. We have a lot of men doing that. Yeah. Now, when I play that sound effect right there, it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm gonna have to send it to and to be playing it. I have to find a way to send it to her to be playing it for our own show. It's just something. It just feels weird to me. It just feels weird to be saying awkward like that. But yeah, I'll just send it to her. I won't be playing that here. Nah. Nope.
Constructive here. But ultimately, I was making a lot of people's wives relive their own trauma. And if anybody's listening, you know, I was wrong for that. I want whoever I've ever talked about to understand that that was wrong of me. But
it's not wrong. It was lame. It's not wrong. It was lame. Lame meaning lack of game. Lame meaning you're not acknowledged that you're coming from a place of limited information, limited understanding. You know, this is just very castigating. If a woman come and tells you a story, the first thing you do is like, oh yeah, he needs to be held accountable. That gave me oh yeah, there's a tone to, he was just extremely judgmental of men, you know. And it didn't sit well with me either. I just knew that, like, you don't have the full story. Well, it's like, you know how people say, oh, let's blame somebody. They're just obsessed with blaming somebody. Like, no, but you can actually, if somebody come and tell you something and all you want to tell them is to blame the other side of their story, you're not helping them, because they're going to go back into that same funk. Now they resent that person even more, right? Because you've acknowledge, I guess in the name of acknowledge them first, let's acknowledge that their partner is evil. You're not helping them. They're going to feel worse than themselves. And that's what I heard in the 1 or 2 videos that I came across before he blew up for the wrong reasons. For me, at least.
A perspective I never had before, because I saw her trying to shut it out, but her phone blowing up.
Yeah.
You know, friends and stuff is concerned. Is she okay? And understandably, but it was overwhelming.
When you look at what made you record the video, I know you said some of your followers sent the video to you about analyzing yourself, which I thought that was, when you look at that and you hear somebody talking in third person about themselves, they consider that textbook narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world would possess you to do a reaction video to yourself?
Horrible decision making.
Like, why would you do that?
Horrible thought process. So for me, whatever I'm going through, my MO has been to just work through it, get up and go do something. But at that point, I'm the biggest conversation. And I was like, this is not something I stand by. But I was like, how am I talk about everybody else, but I want to talk about me? Dumbest decision. Because out of 800 videos, the one that I do in third person is the one that confirms I'm a narcissist.
Textbook narcissist.
Textbook narcissist is third person. And we all have a PhD in narcissism from Instagram.
Yeah, we all got it from Instagram, YouTube.
So everybody got a PhD in narcissism from YouTube. This guy's mouth. Come on, man. But he's right. We all got a PhD in narcissism.
Well, that didn't go as planned. And I took
and then on top of that, Derrick, at the very end, what do? Promote.
I probably did. I probably did.
He was like, and I have this book that I had. I said, this N-word.
Right, the show must go on.
This N-word just sat there and did what?
And they released the book on the cheating man. Oh, man.
What's wrong with the most detached?
Yes, but Patrick, I just sent it to her. I think she would like it. Yep. I sent it to her. I would not be playing Okran here. It just doesn't sit right. I'll do Ober.
I'm not reading the room moment probably in my life. Mm-hmm.
And so what kind of pushback did you get from that?
A lot of people don't know this, but the best way to make money on YouTube and
Same. It was for me, and again, it's not trying to be arrogant. It's just like for whatever's coming my way, I know how to, for the most part, block it out. You know, my whole career has been about, you know, being able to ignore naysayers. This time it was legit though. You know, something I really did. I really disappointed people that believed in me. But regardless, so much was going on in my life, I couldn't access how I felt about that.
Yeah. And then you're also still processing the loss of your the father that you knew. You know, that's your father. Call him stepfather, whatever, but he's been there all the time. That's
the only father that I knew.
Yep.
And you know, my family's still processing it. My cousin got shot in the head about a month or 2 after that. It was like in I was saying about 3 months we had 4 deaths in the family.
Wow.
My uncle had died while I was at my auntie's funeral. I know it sounds like this don't even make no sense. While we was at her funeral, my uncle had died. Now we ain't really like him that much. So my mom going, I'm sorry, but I ain't like him that much. So that one was a little less impactful, just knowing that you supporting your family who cared about him.
Yeah.
But the other 3 were really tough. But it's like, man, I can't be a victim, and my children need me. I can't fold. I put everybody in this situation, and I wanted to fold. I had a gun on my lap. I wanted to fold. I wanted to be out.
You contemplated suicide?
I was on my way to pulling that trigger, but Marley came out. They were getting ready to go somewhere.
Wow.
Marley saw my tail lights on and said, "Ooh, Daddy's here, Daddy's here," because I was out of the house for a while, and she came and jumped up on the door right at that moment.
Are you in a car?
Yeah, I was in my truck. I was just
Wow.
in my truck.
In the driveway? In the garage or something?
No, it was in the driveway, in a little cul-de-sac. So after that, I was, kind of scared about how close I got to it. I'm like, I'm not telling nobody because of the shame of I did this and whatever, and I don't have no voice because I'm the bad guy. I'm the big bad wolf in everybody's eyes now. The resentment in the house is tenfold. I can't say no.
You see how you feel right now? The way you feel right now, where you're like, okay, yeah, right. You might feel like, oh, he's giving excuses, or now he wants to take his own self out. Yeah, sometimes that's how we feel. This is why you must always question yourself. If somebody comes to that, anything that has to do with life and death, you just have to respectfully say that's sad. There's nothing good about that. Always say that's, wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you are much better. But you just never know what people's threshold is, right? If it's somebody's a man trying to fix his family, if it was that much of it, doesn't care about himself, he just want to, I'm telling you, there's somebody that will sit down there and still say that's still the narcissistic behavior, right? But it's actually more sad that a person exists that would do that, But yeah, he contemplating on taking himself out. That's crazy. If you're a person who's a family guy, you've always told yourself you wanted to, because he was also obsessed with making sure he keeps his family together because his father wasn't there. Yeah, it can get to you like that. Absolutely.
Enough about it. But one thing we had talked about was that I don't typically let nobody into my internal struggle, and I needed to do that. So I talked to Danae about it. Now, we're not in a good place here again. And I talked to her about it, and she kind of stonewalled a little bit, just didn't have much to say. But that's when a little bit after that, I decided I couldn't do the marriage anymore. This was in 2021, because she was laughing about it with her mom.
And she was going to commit suicide?
She was laughing.
She was laughing about it with her mom. Crazy. She was laughing about that with her mom. She probably said crocodile tears.
About it with her mom. I got wind of the conversation. This is after some texts I saw. She was still talking to her mom about the marriage. She waiting on me like, who can't forgive after all the forgiveness I needed, you know? But this one where I was like, not that she's so bad, you know, in this moment, but it just made it clear how far away from me her heart has turned.
Did you divorce her? Did you say you wanted to divorce by text?
Yeah. At that time, and anytime we tried to talk, especially if it involved her mama, she either ended up yelling or she stonewalled, like blank face until I got done talking and had nothing to say. Learning therapy, she witnessed that about her mom yelling at a man, whatever. I never did, but I didn't do well with no yelling. So I knew this was to do with her mom, and I told her.
He didn't do well with yelling. What is that? Shut that. Like, who are you yelling at? Who are you talking to? Right? Is that what that looks like? Yeah. That picture is painting right there looks extremely messy, you know. Listen, I can't judge him if he said, you know what, we're better off apart, you know. It is what it is. You know, he probably felt like, you know what, especially with all the spiritual jargons and nonsense that came into it, I would too. You know, especially when you bring that into it, and I would just, call me a chicken, I'll chicken out. But we can't build anything healthy like that, you know.
Hey, not only do I can't do this anymore, but this unresolved issue with your mom is the reason why. I don't know if she mentioned that or not, but a lot of people don't know. It had nothing to do with infidelity as far as why I decided I needed to leave. It was because we had talked about restoring the marriage, but we, pastors, counselors, over and over again, be catching that she had talked to her mom or brought her mom into the marriage, and her mom was very intent on staying in the marriage, giving play-by-plays of
her mom was very intent on staying in the marriage. The mom, the pops, the uncles, the aunties, the nephew are all in the marriage. That attitude is going to help you destroy things even forward, right? If you guys are healthy, she will be the first to keep them out. If you're trying to use manipulative tactics or rules or things like that, what is supposed to be to keep them out, she won't feel safe with you. She might bring them in. She might not necessarily realize she's bringing them in, and vice versa, right? Your job as a spouse is to create enough safe environment where she wants to run to you, to run away from them, where your environment is the safest for her or safer for her in terms of, I need to cool off. Oh, babe, I'm more Jesus Christ. Listen, that's what you want to create, okay? That's the reality you want to create. If you want to create a reality where it's a competition between you and her family or his family, it will work against you. Because remember, identity. This is the person she's been. This is the person she was raised by, that she knew all her life. You can't beat them at that game. Okay, if you become a place where you're nagging about what her family, especially the mom, does, she will start feeling safer running to her. You know, and that sounds like it's something he overreacted a lot to. Her mom was all intent to stay in the marriage. Objectively, that can be true, but if you make that true, as far as your attitude is concerned, you will create more of it.
How to disrespect me, you know, or whatever.
The mom never teaches how to disrespect you. She just felt safer disrespecting you and then running back to the mother. I know, it's tough. It's a tough pill. A hard pill to swallow. Because I know how you feel. Like, no, but she would choose that. Like, no, exactly. Because again, you're still focused on everything except feelings, which is the major driving force in all of this, right?
At this point, it was like, I already checked out. I've been in the guest room over a year. But if we're going to give this a chance, you got to just set the boundary with your mom. You know, I ain't going to put words in your mouth, so I told her, but just let her know you love her, you appreciate her support, but you're committing to this and you need her love to look different. And she kept saying, well, I'll get to it, or not yet, and I'm not ready. And over a year of that, I was like, I got to go.
Mothers will do it. Won't they do it? Won't he do it?
And so you sent her a text message. You was upstairs and she was downstairs on the couch.
Mothers.
And at that point, that was in what year? 2021?
This is 2022 now. I skipped the whole lot, but 2022 now.
2022, you send that.
Mothers. Our mothers too are no yaraida.
Oh, beauty.
They will do it on either side, okay? I know you can't blame them for it. I hope you have enough wisdom to handle it when it presents itself, okay? Patience, seduction, okay? Manipulative, controlling behavior, being a truth teller, all that stuff will not work. Okay, it just get worse because they will just run back to her. Okay, in fact, your husband may run back to her mother if he feels safer. And it gets worse because mother will start looking at it like, subconsciously, like he can't keep his home together. Let me help him. You want my that's your mommy. Wait, but who rude now? It's a lot. But Apache says, I agree with you. It was messy. I can't judge him. Family involvement ruined everything. Mama, papa, uncle formed. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have the skills, you don't have the skills. Most men, when they're this young, they don't have the skills.
When you said, hey, I'm about to divorce said woman, divorce your wife, how soon did you start entertaining the woman that we see you boot up with on social media?
Boot up.
Yeah.
Pinky.
That's her name. Okay.
I didn't know Pinky until about 2 months after.
2 months after?
Yeah, I didn't entertain anybody. Until I had filed and moved out, I didn't entertain a single woman. I know people think that I did because they saw the picture simultaneously with my announcement to be out. But because, again, I'm private, I didn't want to even announce the divorce. I didn't see any use in it. I'm like, why bring people in after all this already been caused? But then when I went down to Miami, I had been moved out now, and she had already did the video praying against folks, that kind of thing. I was like, I've been in, so this is me and my experience, not saying she was bad or whatever, but for me, that was a living hell. Being rejected to that degree, being reminded of all the wrong I've done to that degree. Over a year in the guest room, but even though I did a lot of healing in that time, it was tough to feel so disgusting to a person that you still care about. And so whenever I got out of the house, I was like, I need to be surrounded by friends, family, and love. So other friends and family down there in Miami, but the young lady was going to be there as well. And yeah, man, we just enjoyed Art Basel, and that's people taking pictures. And honestly, I didn't care. So I was like, y'all don't know my life. I don't want to live under the shadow of what people could think, even though looking at it is kind of careless.
Yeah, you're like, I'm with a whole woman. At least make an announcement.
At least in the public eye.
Yeah,
for sure.
make an announcement. Me and my wife respect our privacy. We have decided to dissolve our marriage. And then whatever they see you at that point on.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
At that point, it was, again, this ain't no excuse, man. I'm just living and learning in real time.
Of course.
There's some grief there with the kids because we also getting ready to go into Christmas, the first one without the children. And then also actually divorcing is still painful. Even if you grew apart, you don't love the person no more romantically.
No matter how you look at it, it's a death.
It's been over a year since I started that detachment, but I still was feeling some of it. But ultimately, I was trying to be rebuilt up. I didn't went around feeling like the world's greatest big bad wolf. I wanted to be around people that loved me and cared about me. And yes, some of that included feminine energy that just at least liked me as a human.
Right.
It's not even about sex. It's like, man, do you even smile whenever you look at me? I've been coming into rolled eyes, and somebody walking when she hear me coming in, she walk. Understandably, by the way, let me say that.
Right. There's a lot of built-in failure, a lot of mismanagement of our heart, mismanagement of all that, and
disappointment, trauma, reiterating the trauma, and so many different things going on. Probably some stuff apart from me that ain't got nothing to do with me as well. So I understand it. But two things can be true. I understand it, and it was effed up. It was messing me up.
No, who wants to sit in that? That's why most people get divorced. That's why most people say, I'd rather just start over fresh. I'm going to take these lessons I've learned, and then I'm going to try to do better in the next marriage. But this right here just ain't working.
My mentor told me, though, man, you got that for 5 to 7 years. He was helping coach me through it. I had prepped my mind to be able to endure that. It just was still tough. The reason I actually got a divorce was because I'm like, she's not able to do what needs to be done with her mom. And when she treats me a certain way, there's another person involved that gets treated a certain way because there's another person that is connected to how she feels about it.
That's a puppeteer that's pulling the strings.
To a degree. No, not that. There's another person that, okay, I don't know how to say this, but I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. So our eldest daughter, she may have spoken on this, is darker than the other two.
Oh yeah, she said that. She said she didn't used to like that. She said she didn't like that daughter. She had a lot of resentment towards that daughter.
So me, like in the house as an infant, as a toddler, because she's saying it, and I don't think you might not understand like this.
What it looked like in real time.
In real life, these are experiences.
I can imagine what it looked like.
So me, I could often intervene or kind of sell things out because I know that she loves that girl. I know that she loves her children. But it was affecting their relationship and how she treated her, how harsh she was, how she talked to her.
And I got that from what she's saying. She's saying that when somebody says that they don't like their child because the dark skin of this child reminds them of the type of women that you preferred, then
it's a different level. And I didn't understand it, but again, with Grace, it's just like, even she's saying she's trying to work against it. So, all right, family business, we're going to work through this. But I'm the one that saw the 2-year-old go for affection to their mommy and get turned away while the other two light-skinned, or the other one light-skinned at the time, child gets all the love and affection, and the dark-skinned child to see that. I'm the one that hears our dark-skinned child say things reflective of how she feels mommy feels about her. So as everything was in a stagnation or regressing, it wasn't just me getting pushed away or treated a certain way.
Yeah.
And again, I really hope people just approach this with compassion, because I don't think any of us manage all of our emotions perfectly.
Of course not.
And she's done a ton of sacrificing for every one of those kids. And I just need to say that because she's not a bad mom.
Right.
But I said the longer that I stay in this space, knowing that she's not going to do what I need her to do, and therefore that stunts her healing, our reconnection, the longer she's getting put through that. The longer the kids are getting modeled, the disconnection, the resentment and tension remaining. I don't know if she was talking to her mom at that point, but without her making that stance and saying, we committed over here, we were not moving forward. So anytime she got triggered, anytime I put whatever, it was two people receiving the brunt of that. And somebody had to draw a line and say no more.
I can respect that. I can respect that because what you did is give more context behind what she even admitted. And I believe that what you said, she will never deny. She'll say, yep, that was.
But man, but with all of that, because one thing I noticed, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, is that sometimes she dealt with shame of feeling like she wasn't perfect. She cried about sometimes how she dealt with our daughter. She had a lot of insecurities as a woman, but also as a mother. And so I hope that she knows that it doesn't take away from her love for the kids, her sacrifices for the kids, the things even now I don't see, because we've been co-parents now almost a year. So there's many things she has to take on now. That we maybe used to split that's strictly on her, and including our third child, so for anybody, any mom out there that resents their kids for any reason, there's some people that just mad they became parents.
Yep.
It became such a burden, and there's mothers and fathers that deal with that guilt of knowing they don't feel as happy about something that, the kid is involved, but they can't talk to nobody. And what I'm saying is, it don't take away from that, and her love is still genuine, and she's still a good woman.
HoneyBook completely changed the way I do business. HoneyBook allows you to create an
But Patrick, are you there?
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I like Ishuku.
Hold on, sir. I just what if I party? So that I'll sorrow real quick.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
That's a long hour.
It is. Almost 3. Yeah. Hold on, Chebo. I feel party.
Mother's Day post that you made.
Mm-hmm. That deal with that guilt of knowing they don't feel as happy about something that, the kid is involved, but they can't talk to nobody. And what I'm saying is, it don't take away from that. And her love is still genuine. And she's still a good woman.
That's good. I'm glad you said that, which goes back to this Mother's Day post that you made. Mm-hmm. What made you do that? And I believe that while it's good intentions, for whatever reason, people didn't receive it as such. When you look back, hindsight being 2020, why you believe that wasn't received well?
Well, Shade Room didn't receive it well, and the blogs didn't, but people on my page did. However, I caught wind that she wasn't happy with it. That was my 3rd year post on Mother's Day. For me, and I'm not saying it's the right decision, but the romantic relationship is completely separate from the co-parenting relationship.
True.
So I honored her in real life before Mother's Day about her being a mom. I would send her text to say, thank you for taking on that, especially the kids went to urgent care or something. Thank you for being the one to take care of that. Thank you for being there, taking off whatever you might be doing for work. So in real life, I honored her. And actually, her mom was there. I brought her flowers. I had the kids pick something up.
The day before, she told me that.
Yeah, that was a regular thing, though. As co-parents, I'm like, we may have, our chapters closed romantically, but we still are teammates when it comes to them.
She said the reason why it was kind of backhanded compliment is because you blocked her on social media. So how can you block somebody but then make a message or an affirmation post?
So if you're separated from a woman and it's very bad romantically at any point in time, is to say anything on social media is always a bad idea. It doesn't matter if you're saying it for or against. It's better to just not mention it. Don't say anything. It's better to just leave it. If it's in a very, very bad place, because neither one works in your favor at the end of the day. If you say good words, you're like, well, whatever. If you say bad things, that's obviously what it is. It's bad, right? So it's better to be indifferent. In fact, not just in this respect, in this kind of Mother's Day posting only. In every respect, indifference builds attraction. You don't want to be like so quick to pour out everything how you feel, all that kind of stuff. Relax, because you're probably coming from a place of anxiety anyway, and she could tell that it's not real. And if you receive it as not real and you think it's real, it's just as good as not real, could make difference. But let's continue really quickly here.
Without them, quote unquote, seeing it.
So I had to block her because before y'all interviewed, she was throwing around our picture online. She was in her story. She had a whole webinar called The Cheating Husband Stories. It was like, when I saw that you had titled It Breaks Her Silence, I was like, broke what? It was already broken because she had been. But for me, I wanted to allow her, if she want to express or tell her story, that I don't deserve a space to speak on what's valid and what's not. And so I was kind of letting her do a thing, but I can only handle so much. If she's doing all of this, people are sending. So I
got real.
I can't handle that, and I don't want to start retaliating or whatever, speaking as well. So I didn't say anything about her at all outside of Happy Mother's Day. But I honored her in real life. I honored her out loud online the same way I had 2 years prior, because it was separate, and I meant everything I said in there about her being a great mom. But yeah, I had blocked it and I unblocked it because I was trying to tag her, but her settings won't let me tag her. But yeah, that was it. And I took it down when she's not comfortable with that. Fine, no big deal.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I wasn't following her around to know what she was saying about you. And in all sincerity, like which I told her, which I do a pre-interview, I questioned her mental stability. So I didn't want to bring on the podcast and explore it. I was like, something is off with her. So then when people kept saying you need to talk to her, then I talked to her on the phone, and I was like, oh, she's really cool. All right, well, come on. Because if she was dealing with any type of mental illness and that type of stuff, I didn't want to exploit that.
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to her, I was like, oh, she's funny. She cracking jokes. Because even when she would talk about infidelity,
she'll have to be your future. All right. Intuition to issues as it passed.
When you do you look at yourself?
I may spend time with people I would normally spend almost a year.
What would you like to say? What's on the heart of Derrick Jaxn? And what would you like to say? Whether it's to, matter of fact, I don't even want you speaking to the women. I want you to speak to the brothers that may be in the same situation as you been in, feel like they've tried, they've mismanaged their marriage, cheated, whatever. What would you say to those brothers that, as they always say, well, he can't tell me nothing when we've been in them shoes before?
First off, you're not alone. You're not alone in how you cope. You're not alone in what you struggle in. You're not alone in that guilt and shame. You're not alone in feeling unheard and unseen and like you don't matter. You're not alone in feeling like, you're just about being a good behavior and everybody wants you to do right. Nobody care if you're okay. You're not alone in feeling like, your woman can use her intuition to see if you're cheating, but she ain't using that same intuition to see if you're at peace and if you're happy. There are other men who feel the same way. I felt the same way. And let me also say, it's not always somebody else's fault. I don't even believe in relationship problems as much as I used to. I believe we have internal problems that we bring into a relationship. So for everything that you feel, and even though you're not alone, your wife, your girl, she ain't the enemy either. She ain't the cause either. And if you're like me and you're reactive, you're apart from your masculine role. We're supposed to be the standard. Femininity is supposed to be the responsive agent. So what that means is, instead of getting in a relationship thinking, like me, I'm speaking from where I feel like I really dropped the ball, so hopefully you don't. Instead of feeling like, well, as long as she do me right and pour into my cup and so on and so forth, I'm gonna do right, that's a recipe for disaster, man. Of course you don't want to do a good woman wrong, but it should be about you being a good man to your standards, your principles, regardless of that
your
woman's behavior. If you're
standard.
not good enough to do right by. Probably best to go ahead and let it
for
go.
you.
That's not me preaching. That's me hopefully trying to reach somebody, who still has a family, and you have the opportunity to keep that intact, or you have the opportunity to keep it from suffering such humiliation and such damage before, it eventually fizzles out. And honestly, I will speak to women as well as men. No matter what decisions you've made, if you've been the villain like me or the victim like I have at times as well, don't let that define your ambition going forward. You may have messed up, but you have value to offer this world, and you got value to offer somebody in love. So maybe it was a part of a pattern like me and you stepped out and that's the big sin, but maybe you had a pattern of sabotage. Maybe you had a pattern of overreacting, never trusting, closing down, whatever your pattern is. It doesn't have to be your future. And that's for any woman that chose the wrong man over and over again, endured the wrong thing over and over again, or any man that's endured the wrong thing over and over again, or chose wrong, etc. That's all.
Derrick, something? Give this.
Let's just end that there. Well, Patrick, sir, I was determined I had to finish it today. So, can you hear me?
The guy was trying to do good, but there's a foundational issue there.
Yes.
Yes, I can. Towards the end of the clips, I can read the guy, even though he's saying some things, but he has not really, done those things. He wasn't able to do everything he's saying, even though he's a coach. Yes. Never did everything he was saying. He's now beginning to he's beginning to realize it, getting to know himself now.
Right. It's easier now since he has experience.
Yes, he's beginning to know himself. Say, this is who I am, and the guy really needs somebody to counsel him. He needs therapy, serious one. And he tried for the wedding to work, for the marriage to work out. He tried. If not for the lady wasn't matured enough. Why should you allow your mom to be doing all that? I know she's going through, I understand she's going through some things. The mother could be there for her. But she needs to grow up, especially when children are involved. If she really loves this guy, she's supposed to stand and, they should be able to weather it together, go through therapy, stand by him, and it has to do with forgiveness. If she really loves the guy and the guy was caught in the act, the guy messed up, if she really wants to forgive us, okay, you make that decision and say, this is your last chance. But getting the mother involved, no, that was messy. Allah, when it comes to mother, I don't want to mention.
I know.
Name. I can tell you top people that I know. I'm talking about big. I'm talking about from royal family that I know. It was the mom that destroyed everything. I must tell you, I was shocked. Especially when both mothers are knuckle-headed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, stubborn, coconut-head.
Like sometimes, like a mother would say, your mother-in-law went with your wife to therapy with you. Never, they will never be married again. What kind of mother-in-law, who would deal with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Benny.
So, and it depends on where the man comes from, the man's background as well.
Right.
A mom, like you said initially, that a mom might want to say, okay, mom, you can stay, but some men will say, no, I can never.
Yeah.
And maybe there's an issue between the man and the guy and the mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law want to, and no. I say, well, this is the end of it. I know she's going to pop nose. She's going to be there. About that, he calls his own mother and say, Mom, can you believe what happened? Say, what? Mom?
Yeah.
Man, it's easy to say on the paper, like you said.
It's easy. It's easy on paper. Who do so? And who do for?
Practically, it's tough.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
It's
difficult.
It's difficult.
Yeah. That's why we pray for wisdom. If you find yourself in this type of position, because you will need it.
I was involved in one, Ola. Even though the mother is in Nigeria, very strong woman. When you say strong woman, just like Fella's mom. And the guy is a pastor. The man said, even though Gio comes there, I will not listen except whatever my mom says.
Even if Gio comes, go and bring your Gio.
And Gio actually came. I don't want to mention name. Gio actually came. Ola. And everything ended in Kotokoto till now.
Yep, it will end up. It's messy. It's not gonna fix it. The more spirits and energy you bring into it, the worse it gets.
Yes. It wasn't funny, Ola. This was real. This was real. They're like you're watching video. And the guy, that is from, when somebody they're from royal family, these people I'm talking about. So it's better for the woman if you want to stay. It's tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you involve your parents, especially mom. Father don't usually pop nose or have more action, but women, so I tell you. And it is the daughter that will be the one that will suffer it.
Yeah.
So,
it looks like help at that moment, but before you blink, you just see that your whole family is apart. Everything is destroyed, It might feel like help in that moment in time.
It looks like help.
But before you know it, you just look back.
I used to watch it. Maybe you know this program, Family Life Today.
I think I've heard of it before.
Yes. We have focus on family. We have family life. Allah, we want you to focus on the family every 5:30 in the morning. They bring in speakers. These people have been there for more than 30 years. Focus on the family life. The president have been for almost 50 years. He's retired. He's put other people there. Well, when the man said something, he said, "I will never be involved in my daughter's marriage, or else I am invited." And the fact that I am invited, you have to be very careful.
Even that, you have to be careful. Even that.
Yes.
Because you can also be. So you can also be the voice of reason. Say, have you guys consulted with a counselor? You can be the voice of reason.
That was my next thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That was my next statement, that you have to tell them how about getting an extra counselor first. so that
Yes.
you look as if you are, you are siding,
Yes.
you are taking the side
You
of
will
the
help.
daughter of your
You actually help, because that's what you would do if it was medical issue, physical issue. You will send them to doctor now. You won't treat it, right? So do the same thing when it comes to mental or emotional matters. Say, have you consulted with as opposed to trying to help them fix it, because you can't fix it. You're part of the equation. That's why I said we are married to the nephew, we are married to niece, we are married to the uncles, especially the fathers and the mother. You're married to all of them. They are not going to be the one to fix the issue. They can't, because at least one person may start feeling like you are taking sides, and that's all it needs to be before it gets messier. Like, why are you taking sides? Just because the person say you too, you. What do you mean me too? Because he actually mentioned that he resented one of the first counselors, because that one was like, you be quiet, you're not speaking until the next session, and then he felt some type of way because of that. Now you start feeling like they are taking sides, because he said that person went into rescue mode because she was doing all this crying and everything, and the whole world is about to end and all. That person went into rescue mode. So now you start to feel like, oh, so I'm the big bad guy, Abi. And this happens a lot.
The guy has a bit of ego. He thinks money can solve everything.
He has ego, sir. A bit. He was trying to use money to buy everything. Range Rover, flight.
I knew. Yeah, that was giving money to daycare and all those things. You don't have family is number one. Yes.
Exactly. So
well, he has learned lesson, or else he's gonna. If he doesn't learn, he's gonna fall into the same quarter.
He will repeat it. He will repeat the same issue now. If he doesn't learn it, yes, he will repeat it.
Like we said, one virtue that my mother taught me was patience. I would never
patience.
Patient in life. My mother, I learned that a lot. I've been in the same shit before, in this thing before, a lot, but with wisdom and patience, I was able to, I've been in the same circumstances before, but with wisdom and, with patience, and you have to make that conscious, you have to be conscious that, yes, I want to be in this. Both of you have to make that decision.
Yes.
I know, let me just say, the women, they lean towards their mom. That's it. Yes. 80, let me say 80% of women lean towards their mom. I'm not saying men don't do that, but I'm just saying. Yes. So.
Yeah.
It takes wisdom for them to say no.
Well, if like for example, without going too much into details, my own wife, she's not running to her mother first for a solution, unless it's extremely bad. You see what I'm saying? Unless it's like an extremely, like, I've been in that position, we've been in that position where things were really bad, and then she now felt safer on that side. In fact, the mother started saying to her, you didn't tell me you were going through this, because the last place she wants to, in fact, she tried to warn me, because when I didn't know better, I tried to report her to her mother that she didn't follow some kind of instruction. It was a bad idea. She actually tried to warn me against that, sir. Right?
I understand.
So, but when we look at it on paper, people will give advice and say, if she don't listen, talk to her father, talk to her mother. She will listen to somebody that can, like, you know what I'm about to say, sir. He's dead there. That talking to mother, father thing, it needs a lot of wisdom. It's not every mother and father that have the wisdom to handle the issues in their children marriage. Most of them don't even have it. They will just go into rescue mode. They will try to rescue their daughter.
Charlie say, whenever you're having an issue and can't handle it, your room is still there. Please come back.
As a father, right? Because you're trying to protect your daughter.
Well, that's
so
to say, what of you parents are late? So
exactly.
Like my mother wasn't alive when I got married, so who am I going to run to?
Especially as a man, that's a bad idea completely.
You have to be. Even now, I tell my son, Well, marriage is not calculus. I know you are smart.
It's a calculus, so. Yeah, temporarily. Let's say the house is heated and you're looking for a place to escape to so that it doesn't escalate. I understand, but to go there and be talking and thinking they will be the one to come and do meeting to help you, it's a bad idea. Long term, it's just a bad idea to be running back to your parents for issues.
If you even go there, they will they will whine you. You will tell them, why do you have to come and stay
because think about it, sir. If your son leaves his family, his marriage, to come home, your own son, blood, as in like, you know how you feel about your son, your mind will not be at. It takes a lot of wisdom to say, let me leave him alone just to sleep. Are they safe at home? Okay, you just need a place to sleep for the night. It takes a lot of wisdom to not ask him further or feel some type of way about the wife. Like you really that won't let you sleep at home. That, as a normal person, you will even get caught up in your own emotions. You will feel offended, but it's very few people that have the wisdom to say marriages do go through a lot, especially if they've never been through it before. Is she safe? Let me call her and make sure she's okay. Okay, you can sleep. We'll talk about the rest tomorrow. It takes significant level of wisdom.
And you must know the wife too. Where this woman is not like this, what could have happened?
Yes.
Or else the woman has been crazy that where this woman,
if she's demonstrated crazy before, it's even worse. Because she will just be like, I knew it. That girl is crazy. I knew that it was one day is coming that she's mad. She will do this. I just knew it. And when you're moving that way, but yeah, we are packing it, sir. We're dear. And so let What did you say, sir? Oh, I'm losing you. It looks like you're entering dead zone. I'm losing you. Oh. Are you there?
Yeah.
What did you say, sir?
I came to sit in the car. Money, your show is a movie to learn from.
By the grace of God, that's what we're trying to do, sir. We just want to keep talking,
By the time they have practical, they will understand.
They will get it. They will get it.
Allah, they whine them. Allah don't whine you, I beg.
Abio. Yeah, they will learn by force, by fire.
Go learn.
By force, by fire.
I just when they give lecture for Bodo.
Abio.
It's not by lecture, bro.
It's not lecture. It's not by lesson. We need to see real life examples. We need to unpack real life stories.
I tell you, one of my, is a doctor in Texas. He said, Uncle, I don't tire. He said he has lost kind of his friend that got divorced. I can tell you.
Especially these days, it's tough.
They went to Canada to do reunion. He said all his friends are graduated as doctors. Man, 80% of them are divorced. He told me.
Yeah, people are exercising the options. People are overreacting, which is making it worse.
Yes.
He
said something, temporary emotion or your number blue or tumor.
Benny.
Some temporary emotion that you can fix. I know, like we said, a lot of people are coming into marriages with baggages. You don't know what guy was dealing with. Like DJ, who doesn't have a father. Nobody wants him how to deal with a woman. You understand? All he wants to do is to make.
He's just a fine boy, so.
Yes.
It seems easy until you start to collect. It's like
he's a fine boy. He wants to make money.
Yeah.
Go to gym. He's on YouTube. We love him.
And he wanted to defend women so badly, but he didn't realize it's much more bigger than defending women. It's never as simple as defending women. It's never as simple as defending men. It's much more complicated than that.
Yeah, when you see.
Yeah, I lost you there, sir. I can't hear you, just so you know. Baba Wangburu. I can't hear you, sir. Eshwambe.
As if you have a geo anointed man.
Right.
Anointed man with speaking in tongues, healing people and getting divorced. Does it mean God doesn't love him?
Anger is nobody's matey. Shimo, anger is emotions. It's nobody's mate. If you're angry, you're angry. You know.
When a Jew has been ministry for years, getting divorced, I've been watching and say, what? Oh my God.
Exactly. Chris Oya, it shocked everybody. When Chris Oya Kilome, it shocked everybody. It's anointing.
So hey, it's not about anointing.
See, is he anointing, Sha?
That's what I'm saying now. Take the grace.
It is grace, so.
Let me use your word.
Yeah. Yeah, it is grace first, but we need to start talk. We need to keep talking, Brother Patrick. We need to keep teaching. We need to keep sharing real life lessons, real life application lessons, applicable lessons, not just boundaries.
Yes.
Narcissism. It's like this. Onyibo, English, like none of that stuff. In real life, you will end up with a person that somebody called a narcissist. What will you do with it?
And it's always good that, you know, when somebody is teaching you, come up, you are vulnerable. Say, man, this thing I'm telling you.
Yeah. This thing, this is what I'm going to. What if? Ask more questions.
Yes.
You know,
tell them, say, man, I'm not an expert. I've gone through this, so it's not easy. Because people that you never ever thought would go through it and everything's kata. Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
If a man is coming to the altar, fire is bringing down fire. And he cannot manage his self. What kind of anointing is this? It's not like that, sir.
So we have
all right, Olana.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll talk soon, sir. Yes, sir. So we're gonna keep pushing this. It's amazing that people will go to school for 5 to 7 years to learn about a career that they're probably going to spend 40 years, but they want to have a lifetime of blissful, joyful relationships, but they think they can learn what is there to learn in just one book. I mean, just do the math. It doesn't add up, right? So 7 to 10 years, that's what it's going to take you. Okay. All right. You need a solid 12 months of foundational knowledge, coaching, and then you need 7 to 10 years. Give yourself room. There's so much to learn. Not just learning, mastery. Okay. Mastery. It will never ever be as simple as slap a few talking points together and think you figure it out. Obviously, just like any other worthwhile career, knowledge, expertise out there, it just doesn't make any sense, right? It's going to take knowledge, repetitive knowledge, practical application, failing application, failing a few times. Okay, now when you have realistic expectations around the result you're creating, failing doesn't exactly feel like failure, like somebody's family crashed and burnt, right? It will just look like, oh, I'm confused, it's time to learn something new. Ask questions, right? Oh, I need clarity on this, as opposed to conclude that that person is just evil. Right? Well, in real fact, in real time, in reality, you might just be the evil one. Right? No, you're not supposed to admit to it. It's just, that's why you're you, right? You think you're trying to do your best. You're trying to put your best foot forward. You're trying to, all of that. You're trying to do the right thing, right? But the reality is that skills is lacking, lacking knowledge, application, right? Applicable knowledge, right? It's not like, even including myself, all of this that I've said here today, at the end of the day, is theoretical. until I'm in that situation and I have to manage it. Right? And oftentimes when I calm down, when I lower my guard a little bit, if I feel I fall in my face, what does that look like? Like I'm in crisis. I'm in disagreement with my wife, or with a person I'm in some kind of family relationship with, right? That is some kind of failure, right? I have enough calmness, right? Enough humility to say there's something I need to learn about what just happened, right? As opposed to know that person is just evil, or they are narcissistic, or they are, I should just draw boundaries, or it's their fault, right? Or we need to blame somebody for that. Well, if it was business, if it was your job, you can blame people, take their job away. But when it comes to family, relationships, romantic relationships, mother of your kids, the father of your kids, it's not that simple, right? In fact, the judges at the family court tells you that it's not that simple. What they do is they put together a mediator for you. They try to help. After they collect your $50 or whatever the fee is, I don't know what it is. They collect your fee. They will try to put together some one or two things here and there, right? But ultimately, they're not going to send anybody to jail just because they said they don't want to do marriage anymore. Or just because they said, I have a lawyer, I think I deserve 75% of all your fortune. Or just because I think the way your mouth smells is dangerous for the kids, so I need to keep the kids away from you. But anything that comes up in that court is all fair. In love and war, all is fair. Do you have a good lawyer to argue it for you or against you? Is the system structured to work in your favor? And about 2,000 other different variables. The bottom line is that you want to try to make sure you don't end up in that situation. But let me give you a kicker, right? If you do end up in that situation, right? If you do end up in that situation, it's still humans that are operating that whole thing. You can still finesse them if you have game. Oh, they didn't tell you that? Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. They're using written down laws, rules, and all this stuff, but it's at their discretion, right? And what if you know something that everybody else don't know, right? In terms of how to finesse your way, because you know at the end of the day, every single individual involved, they care about something, right? Oh, yeah. What if you had that kind of weapon, right? Anyway, let's leave that at that today. We're going to leave Derrick Jaxn alone for now, okay? But I thought that was a good one. 3.5 hours. We needed to do that, right? Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Brother Patrick for coming up to elevate the conversation. Hopefully, you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Me love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.